Welcome to episode 180 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. Katie, I'm gonna need you to get your shit together. We just started. Are you okay over there? What is?
Oh God!
Just trying to do a podcast here. 180 of these things.
Nobody sees you having what I assumed was a seizure before you hit the record button.
Just figured I'd make all the noises too.
Like a crazy person.
You look like a crazy person normally.
But you married me.
Yeah. Not everybody always makes the best decisions.
Oh goodness.
Sometimes the coin flips the wrong way.
Shut up.
All right. Let's get our sponsor stuff out of the way. Go, Katie.
If you are looking for a high quality PVC rack or
Cage.
acrylic cage.
Sure.
Cage, PVC cage.
Whatever.
I don't even know what the
If
cage
you're looking for
is made
something
of.
cut or carved
Sure. Look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herps Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
I feel like the custom part is more like, I feel you get a lot of custom orders on stuff, cage wise and stuff. People wanting, so that's where I think people, if you want something custom made, not just a cheaply made 4x2 cage that the plastic is super thin and pops out really easily. That happens on a regular basis, and people buy this cage all the time. And now they're making an arboreal one that will do the same thing. The only positive thing is arboreal snakes don't tend to push against the sides.
Yeah.
If you want a cage, it's not that. Hit up Robert, which I need to get a rack. I've got to get a rack. I've ran out of space. I've got a snake that's about to have babies. And,
oh yeah, we talked about that.
And I got snakes that need to come out of quarantine. And I realized I don't have space for all of them. So I got to get a rack soon. So if anybody out there wants to buy a boa, you should buy a boa for me so I can go ahead and buy a rack.
What snake's about to have babies?
My rosy boa.
Oh, okay.
Those are easy enough to find space for. I got space for rosy boa babies.
Oh yeah, that won't be hard.
As long as she does her normal, like have 2 babies.
I was just about to say she only ever has 2, maybe 1.
She's looking really thick right now. Really thick.
Well,
so
who knows? Maybe now's the time.
I have Friday down as the date to be paying attention to see if she has babies. So we shall see.
Okay.
Little Shop of Horrors. It's LIL''S. Little Shop of Horrors is a small feeder and pet supply business based in San Antonio, and they regularly schedule feeder meetups around San Antonio as well as other neighboring towns and cities, as far as Houston, because again, that's how I got mine. They offer shipping on their feeder insects, isopods, and are working on starting shipping on their feeder rodents too. All feeders are raised on a nutritional diet that optimizes the health of the reptiles and amphibians that consume them. I've been happy with them. Again, I've had some piggy snakes that are now eating, which is good. So hit up Little Shop of Horrors. They have great rodents.
So you remember how we were having issues with those black mice that we got, and I think you had some issues with them.
Yeah.
And we had another snake die that ate those.
Really?
One of Logan's expensive milk snakes.
Which did not come from Little Shop of Horrors.
No, they did not.
Just make sure.
So I threw them bitches in the trash yesterday.
I don't blame you.
Because that's 3 snakes now that have died from those that have eaten.
That have died after eating those animals.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I
mean, yeah.
I had a Facebook post pop up from years ago,
and they were on sale. Remember?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why we got them. So,
well, I had a Facebook post pop up from that company. I was pissed off years ago. I blamed that company for a bunch of my boas dying, which now I know it probably wasn't them. It was just what is it? Causation. What is it? Coincidence isn't cause. Whatever it is, I think it was a coincidence. It wasn't the actual cause. I'd fed a bunch of guinea pigs to some boas, and then the boas died. But I think now, years later, I know that it was most likely something like Nido or one of the other viruses that got into my collection and killed all my boas years and years ago, which I no longer have that.
I was going to say that was. Oh man, that was like before Joe.
Yeah, somewhere around before Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, that was before Joe.
But it's funny that post came up the other day where I was like pissed off at that company, and then like now I'm like, yeah, it probably wasn't their fault on that one. That was definitely me bringing in snakes from other collections and not quarantining like you should. So just a friendly reminder: quarantine your shit, folks. Just to help y'all out. Herps Reptile shows. We've got the Conroe show coming up in 2 weeks. Oh shit, 2 weeks? Is that right?
No, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Oh, okay.
Because we have this weekend.
2. No, it's 2
and
weeks
then
from this weekend. Oh, yeah.
It's 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have this weekend, and then we have next weekend, which is a 3-day weekend from school, and then we have Conroe. Time before Joe doesn't exist.
We freaked out, Lewis. I promise your rodents are great. We weren't talking about you. Little Shop of Horrors are amazing.
They really are.
I love my rodents. It makes me very happy to open my freezer and see like rodents in there.
Yeah.
It's a happy feeling. But
I don't know
but then I feed out and realize, oh shit, I have to feed out a lot of these. This shit's getting expensive. So by the way, again, if anybody wants to buy a boa, please buy a boa.
So your dad's in the chat, and time before Joe was time that we had to ourselves.
Yeah, he said time before Joe doesn't exist. No, it did, and it was happier times.
It wasn't me sitting at a school until 5:45 to pick her up.
I say happier. It wasn't happier times. It was just times where I didn't even have more money. I could play video games by myself, but now I have to play video games with her.
She's right there.
That's good. She
It's
can hear me.
fine.
Cover. So it's funny.
God bless her. We've been giving her shit since she got
our
home
kid-
today.
Our kid made the volleyball team.
The
Her-
A team.
She made
The A
We
team.
found out today she made the A team.
I'm learning all about
I have
everything
faith in
volleyball.
you, Joe.
And we both told our daughter that we just don't see it. We don't understand how she made that team, and that we've never seen athletic ability or whatever. But we made sure to understand that we hope we're wrong, and we're there to support her, and we'll cheer her on.
Oh, I've already got a
Well,
shirt
she came out
design.
honestly.
Yeah,
Oh,
Katie,
I
yeah,
know.
no.
I have no athletic ability.
I
That's
told
what
her
I'm
she's.
saying.
I told her earlier she's welcome
Mhm.
because she's tall.
Yeah.
Thanks to me. They
Definitely.
got her own team.
Definitely.
But she did make it a good point. And she told me this on the first day of tryouts when she came out. She said, I think I did better than a lot of the other girls because I was coachable and they listened to me.
Yep.
And
I don't think she
said,
knows what that word means.
No, I just don't think she can listen to the two of us.
Logan's the same way.
Fucking
Everybody
kid.
tells us how awesome he is and how
He is great when he's with
Yes,
us. He
but-
really is.
he's could be a big time fucking jerk to me 90% of the
Well,
time.
I've seen it. I've been.
Yeah.
He's nice when you're around, Katie.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
different.
it's just me then.
It's different. But on top of that, we do hope that she does well. And so, but
I've got
still,
my
I'm-
In
earring.
fact, our guest tonight loves my kid.
And our kid.
I told
Yeah, for sure.
I told Joe, I said, I'm just preparing myself for so when we're in the stands and other parents go, who's that kid that's not moving and hitting the ball? I can go, yeah, that's mine. But I hope that I'm wrong.
No.
I even mentioned yesterday to Logan that it was Sam's birthday. And he said, tell him I said happy birthday. So I specifically
Aw.
sent Sam a message.
How sweet.
Yeah, that's Sam and Logan got along
They
Mhm.
are. They're buddies.
because Logan didn't call him names like he calls Robert.
He didn't really call me names
Oh,
to my face.
Like this is like hate on our kid day. Like what?
I'm not hating. I'm very proud of my kid.
I am. We took her to dinner and everything. It just happened to be on our anniversary.
Fucking kids ruin all the fun.
Where'd y'all go?
Honor Ace.
Oh,
It's like it's my new favorite place.
It's pretty good. I mean, because
The seafood
It
I
is
get
good.
is good for me.
it's good Texas Cajun food.
Yeah.
I just need to put.
I'm gonna have to go to another shot because I only ate there once and I didn't. That was,
But the problem is,
that was probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
don't get the. Well, you don't eat like crawfish or anything. So
I do.
Do you
Right.
eat,
I like their seafood gumbo, but you got to put potato salad in it.
don't get their pistolets. It's going to be a huge letdown.
No, don't make that face. Put potato salad
But I don't
in
like
your
potato
seafood
salad.
gumbo.
Period.
I
So,
don't put potatoes. I put rice in my gumbo.
yeah.
Wrong.
But no, their pistolets. It's a roll where they like cut a hole in it and then injected the. It's not fried in there. Like
No.
it's a letdown. But everything else.
Let's
is
bring
pretty
our guest in. She
I'm not
might
there. Hold
wanna
on. We gotta
weigh
get
in
through the.
on this.
She'll be fine. She's waited this long to be on the show, even though I thought she was on the show
I
forever
thought
ago.
you had her.
I know.
You're
We'll
such
get to
an
it. Let me.
ass, James.
Herb's Reptile shows. We have Conroe again. We started. This was like an hour ago. Conroe is in 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks from Saturday.
Dos weekos.
Yes, that is not at all.
Años, so that's years. I don't know weeks.
You haven't gotten to that part of Duolingo.
Duolingo, no, I missed that. I may have. I just haven't played in a while. Baton Rouge show, September 16th and 17th, which was in Gonzales. Waco, Texas, October 21st, 22nd. Lake Charles, November 4th, November 5th. Up to West Monroe, Louisiana, November 18th, November 19th. Austin, Texas, December 2nd, December 3rd. Are we going to Austin?
I don't know. We'll see.
Have you found that house again?
I'm gonna go look. Actually, I'll just keep doing that and I'll look.
Because I want to go find more stuff. Go find me another
Was it
blind
Cedar
snake.
Park.
That was a cool house.
What were the dates of the show again?
They are December 2nd and December 3rd.
Okay.
Slidell, Louisiana, December 9th, December 10th. And then Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, January 13th and 14th. Robert will not be there.
No.
He's not going to Oklahoma.
No.
We have no reason to go there anymore. Our buddy is now in Texas. We're not going to Oklahoma. So suck it, Oklahoma. They're not really listening. They don't have the technology up there to listen to podcasts. So no one up there hears this. I feel like I moved to Texas and now I just have to hate on Oklahoma. That was, I think
How that works.
it's the rule. Are you okay, Robert? Yeah. If anybody's wondering what that small baby elephant noise was,
It was me trying not to call.
Oh,
Robert,
It did not work.
Robert,
Now it's like in the top of my head. Ooh.
Oh, so my dad said I need to find some brisket in Austin. I think we can probably find some.
Yeah, we have a place. It's called fuck.
Oh,
That's not what
fuck.
it's
That's
called.
where I want to go. Going to fuck barbecue.
It's called Style Switch Barbecue. It's really good barbecue. We've taken.
I
several
need
people.
like an Asian barbecue place. PHUK. Fuck barbecue.
There's a
Welcome to fuck barbecue.
there's a
Bring our guest in.
pho place that's like it's called Fucking.
Yeah.
Well, there's
We ate it at
burger place.
Sofa King.
so fucking good burgers.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
It's in Chattanooga, and their peanut butter and jelly burger was the bomb.
It was
I
a
liked it.
burger. Before real quick, VivTech. Also, if you're looking for LED UV bulbs, reach out to VivTech and use code GUMBO22 and save 15% on your order. Go get some LED bulbs. If you have anything that needs LED lights, get them from VivTech. Don't get anybody else. All those other guys suck. Also, our buddies at Viv. Did you see what Ryan
That's
posted?
how you really feel.
Yes,
I do.
Those leucistic garters.
Yeah, those blue-eyed leucistic garter snakes.
Crazy looking.
Yeah, those are pretty. Speaking of garter snakes, let me go ahead and bring our guest in because she has garter snakes. It's Brittany Reed of Reed's Rhacs. Hey, Brittany.
Hey guys.
Welcome to the show finally, even though I thought we had you on
Thank you.
forever ago.
Yeah.
blame-
I
blame
Likely
Katie.
story.
What? What?
And when we say Reed's Rhacs, it's RHAC.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's,
Rhactodactylus, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Rhactodactylus. Yeah. When I first started, 15 years ago or whatever, crested geckos were still in Rhactodactylus. So, and as the gateway drug they are for so many, they were my gateway drug. So that's why my name is still Reed's Rhacs.
are they not rhactodactyls anymore?
No, they're not.
Did that group kick them out because they're fucking stupid and they're like, look, we don't want to be
That's
associated with these
probably-
morons?
that's exactly what happened. They got together and they said, hey, these guys, they need their own genus.
Lychees were like, these fuckers
Excuse
literally
me?
lick walls, so you gotta get them out of here. I still can't
Hey,
believe-
pot kettle, James, pot kettle.
I just don't understand how they're alive. Every time I'm still amazed.
I mean,
that-
have you seen how many ball pythons are at the
a
any
good
given
point.
show? That how many
But
more brain cells do they have?
I feel like we've made them dumber. I feel like breeding through ball pythons has made them dumber. I feel like wild ones are probably not that dumb, but I don't think we could have done this to cresties. I think they're just dumb. They
yeah.
leap out into the midair and they're like,
Mine today in class.
did he fall?
So he's getting used to the kids again because we're a weekend, and so he's out more. He's not just hiding from them, and so
I'd hide
he
from
was
them.
on.
I'd hide from them.
I mean, yeah, the bearded dragon still is like what the hell?
Not even if I was a
Where
reptile.
he
I
brought
just
me.
literally would want to hide from them right now.
But he so he was on the back wall, and I tossed a couple crickets in for him today, and so he leaped and like splatted across the front of the glass and then slid down to get the it was the most awkward I'm gonna catch this cricket I've ever seen in my life.
Stupid lizards.
The kids like jumped on the table next to his cage because they were like didn't know what was going on.
I'm just surprised he leaped and actually like got some, like landed
Oh,
on something
yeah.
and just thud onto the bottom of the cage.
Oh no, he landed smack on the glass and then literally because we just sprayed the tank too. So then he like slid down the glass because it had water.
I mean, don't
all
get me
over
wrong.
it,
I think
and-
they make great pets for especially like when you compare it to like the bearded dragon.
Oh yeah.
I think cresties are amazing because you don't need the external heat like that. You really can get away without UV. If you want to use UV, you can. But you can. They really can do a lot without suffering. It's just when you hold them, they just jump into the midair. They're just like fuck it and go. Like they don't even aim for anything.
It's a true story, James. I can't argue with you. They take a leap of faith and they have no idea where they're going. I work with a lot of New Caledonian geckos, like 6 or 7 species. They are the only one that does that. None of the rest of them will just leap into midair. So
There has to be a reason we thought they were extinct because like they probably should. They're like pandas. They're the pandas of the lizard world. Like pandas should be fucking extinct. Every video you see of a panda is of it falling over and rolling and just doing stupid shit. That's crested geckos.
Yeah.
yeah. I guess it's endearing to some of us, right? That fall for the
They're a
goofy
They're a little
stuff.
special.
I just, as
Yeah.
someone who also loves the idea, like how evolution works and the evolution of animals and all, I still don't understand their fucking tail.
My one of my parents was funny at Meet the Teacher. He was like, "Yeah, we got one of those. what kind of butt does it have? And like turned to the kid. She's like, it's called frog butt, Dad. He lost his tail. Like the dad was so like, I don't know what we're doing with this thing, but it lives at my house situation.
But of all lizards to
It was
lose a
so
tail,
funny.
it uses its tail as a like an extra limb to hold on to stuff.
Mhm.
And then it was like, no, we don't grow that shit back.
I'll need it.
If we lose it, we don't. We're good. Because like other New Caledonian lizards grow tails back, right?
Yeah, almost all of the geckos do. Yep.
It's
Oh
just
my
that
God.
dumbass.
That's-
It's jumping
Yeah,
off the trees and losing body parts.
I can't really figure out the adaptation, the necessity for not growing your tail back.
Didn't you and Gonzo have like a 2-hour discussion about
Probably.
this one night?
It's just the idea that like if it didn't actually ever use it to hold on to stuff, if it was just a balance thing or whatever, and I get it, but I've watched them use their tail to hold on to a branch. Like it's
Oh,
a
yeah, mine
functional
does.
thing.
It's prehensile, 100%.
But then I hear people talk about, yeah, we walked into the room and shut the door too loud and its tail fell off. I'm like,
I don't know how. I don't know how mine still has its tail.
What kind
in
of
the
animal is that?
classroom. Like it surprises me.
Honestly, in captivity, they don't lose their tails as nearly as much as people think. Like
Okay.
I breed a lot of mourning geckos, and well, they do their thing and they reproduce very quickly, so you end up with a ton very quickly. But those things will drop their tail if you look at them wrong.
really?
But you seriously, yeah. Oh, you gave me side eye. There goes my tail. But crested geckos, I've been breeding them for like 15 years, and I've had less than, I could probably count on my fingers how many I've had drop their tails.
I wonder
wow.
if the number, because you see a lot at shows though for sale, like from breeders who want to sell like these frog butlers. I wonder how many of them lost their tail while being sexed. Because don't you kind of have to hold their tail out of the way and look at it?
You do. You kind of have to.
from-
The best way that most of us do it is kind of hold them up against a clear deli lid and use a loop to try to
Yeah.
look for pores. I've actually never had one lose its tail while I was sexing it. I
She
think a
knows
lot
what
of
she's doing.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've had a lot of experience. I do now, but everybody has to start somewhere. But I think a lot of keepers that, especially that breed in high volume, they'll keep multiple babies together, and the babies will, see a tail sticking out from under a leaf or whatever that's in the enclosure and think it's a bug and go for another one's tail. And I think that's how a lot of the ones, especially the people that produce a lot and have to keep them together, I think that's how they probably lose their tails.
Well, and you got into cresteds before the huge craze now, when it was
I
not
did.
when it was not the thing, when you didn't go to shows and see, and again, I've told you this before, and
Right.
it's not a knock at you, but every middle-aged woman who was like, I could breed lizards. It's like every middle-aged woman at a crested gecko. I don't know what it is. They all seem similar, but you were in there before that when they were like not as popular and everybody
Right.
was learning it, and there weren't all these morphs that were insane. That I say morphs, it's a weird thing.
Absolutely.
But
They're traits. Mostly, there's only
Yeah.
a few actual morphs, right? Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I was. In fact, when I first started, I was always hoping there was at least one crested gecko vendor when I went to a show. Sometimes there wouldn't be any. And now we did a show this weekend, and Robert can confirm it was probably 50% ball pythons, and another of the 50%, half of those were probably crested gecko people, right, Robert? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
Yeah, if you were looking
So-
for ball pythons and crested geckos, this was your weekend.
Yes,
guess-
for sure.
the only positive to them, I mean, they're basically chickens of the lizard world. The only positive to them is that it's cut down on the amount of people breeding bearded dragons because they're so fucking easy to breed.
Right.
And if anybody that's owned a bearded dragon, as great as a pet it can be, we know that it's not a great beginner lizard, just set up alone. So
Right.
that's one bonus.
And that's
I
why
guess.
a lot of them end up in bad situations.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've only ever bought one bearded of the probably 8 we've ever owned. And she's about to say it's right.
Same here.
So
We bought-
sorry.
And the one bearded
I
we
bought
bought.
it for $40 because basically I bought the tank that it was in.
Oh no, the one we bought was expensive and was an asshole. The only one we've ever had was an asshole, and he's the one we bought. And finally, at one point, we're like, "Fuck it, let's just get rid of this thing." But no, the one you have right now was given to us as a gift. But prior to that, every other one is an adult. Like that's at one point we had like 4 55-gallon tanks because they all at one point came with a bearded dragon.
Yeah.
James, that's a rat snake, huh?
Yes,
Okay, I thought so. It's right here, Manville. It's on our group.
yeah, it's harassing. So I guess that's the one good thing. But the thing is, for someone like you who breeds, It's a fucking pain in the ass. The good thing is you did the smart thing, and it's what I tell a lot of folks that are ball python breeders. That's fine. If you want to breed ball pythons, whatever, but you got to find something else. You got to find the oddball stuff that you think is cool because it will sell. And you have a lot of oddball stuff that I think is really cool. I'm not a small lizard person as much as I love some of those small lizards. Like, I think those little viper geckos are the coolest fucking thing on earth.
They are really cool. They are really cool.
I may get an adult at some point because I fucking love those things.
Yeah.
But
they are really cool. And I've had to do a ton of marketing for those guys because nobody knew what they were when I first started bringing them to shows. And in fact, this weekend, I had about 5 or 6 people say, I always come to look at your viper geckos. Nobody else I've ever seen had viper geckos. So, it is, I mean, and the thing for me, one, I did want to, I saw where the market was going and business savvy enough to say, I want to work with some other things because this is not going to be the thing for long. I mean, I got into it because I fell in love with these, lizards, but lucky thing for me is that I love everything. So I'm always like, just naturally, and I only work with things that I really am passionate about. So it's not just for me, like, what's the next big thing? I only work with things that I'm passionate about, but I just fall in love with almost everything. So it's very easy for me to kind of find the next thing that I want to work with. Because I can't even pick snakes or lizards, dude. It's difficult.
Well, like lizard wise, you've got some really, every time I come over to your place, there's something new and like that's really cool looking. But so you had cresteds, but then it's a weird area because most people they go cresteds and then maybe they either go gargoyles or they go lychees.
Mm-hmm.
But and you've done kind of both, but that's not really your overall direction you've gone in.
No. In fact, I've actually pared down now to where this year I only paired 5 groups of cresties and 1 pair of gargs, and just a few lychees and chewies. So I would say, that's actually the minority now of what I'm doing. I've kind of branched out on all kinds of different geckos and anoles. Big one is anoles. I love any, like, there's a few species, arid species that I've really just fallen in love with. Most of my stuff is tropical and arboreal. So I just really love those kind of setups and just watching arboreal animals, and like the emerald tree skinks that you got from me. Those are super fun to watch and interact with. And that's really kind of the thing that I go for.
We just gave them some crickets a few minutes ago.
We got to watch one of them jump off and catch a black soldier fly out of the air a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
We heard it flying around in there, and James and I kept watching because it had its head poking up out of the cork tube, and it kept inching its way out and inching its way out. And then I turned my head to look at the screen, and James actually saw it. I turned around to see it kind of catching itself, crunching on the soldier fly.
Yeah, they are fast when they want to be.
They still don't want me to touch them at all, not even close. But you can put in a cup with crickets, and they'll like come into the cup while you're holding it and grab crickets and run off. I'm telling you, the one thing they remind me the most of is those little green dinosaurs from the second Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
They're just like those little guys that ended up eating that guy alive. And I swear if I had like 100 of them, they would do
You're
it.
not wrong.
They're
I don't know, man. I've had to manhandle mine a few times to try to sex them or whatever, and they have never tried to bite me, even when I manhandle them. I think you'd be okay.
I can't get a hold of mine. They just don't like me. I think mine are defective.
Well, of course, I gave you the defective ones, dude. Of course.
Because like Robert told me, what store is it that you went to that they would come out and run out on
several years ago at the Bio Dude? They had a couple. They had like 4 of them in an enclosure, and they would open the door, and Logan could put his hands up like one on each side of the enclosure, and they would run out up across his shoulders and back down his arm, and then back in the enclosure.
Nope, not even close. Not even.
Mine do that. In fact, if I'm in a rush, I kind of have to very quickly put the bugs in there and try to hold him back from getting on me, because I have one that will do that every single time.
Yeah, fuck you, Brittany.
So Logan was given a breeding colony of DeKay's brown snakes yesterday.
Oh, that is really cool. I've always thought I would like to work with those little dudes.
Feed them worms.
She gave him but dude, it's so easy.
Yeah, if you can get them eaten.
They were already eating.
Were they?
They're an established colony.
I had a ringneck that I tried once to get eaten. I could never get the thing to eat.
These are from Illinois. There's like one that's like brick red.
I'm telling you, in Louisiana where we lived, we would have like 6 different phenotypes.
It was that one in the backyard by the garage.
It was red.
That I was always afraid I was going to kill with the lawnmower.
They're super cool. One of them was out basking on top of a plant today, just all curled up, and Logan got it to take a worm out of his hand.
They're a super underappreciated snake.
I agree.
One, because of they're a lot like Cresties in the fact that a lot of the it's not morphs. There's just a lot of variability in them as a population.
Yeah.
So you can get so much variability out of just a litter. They're live birth. Yeah,
live birth.
But it'll be very interesting to see if he can get some babies and if he can get them eating.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting to get some babies.
The one ate right out of his hand today.
That's awesome.
He got a 2.2, and
how do you sex those fuckers?
I don't know. She said she's gotten 2 litters from this group. She has no idea who the parents are because you just open it up one day and pick up a piece of cork bark and you're like, oh, look at these little
tiny worms,
1-inch long babies in here. She said she just leaves them in there until they get big enough to take out.
I can see that. I would probably do that. Something like that.
Because it's in like a front opening Exoterra. Like
that's like
the 40-gallon.
I leave my rubber boa was well paired. One died, but the other pair lives. I mean, they live together.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna do that their entire life, and then one day I'll have babies.
He went and cleaned out all of his failed isopod, the ones that had crashed on him.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, I got all that cork bark. I'm just gonna put it all in there.
The other problem with decays, you can't really put them in a rack.
No.
Because they will squeeze out of any crack.
No, and they're cool because they move around, and you have to keep like damp moss in there.
Yeah.
You put it under a hide. And that's where 3 of them were today.
So that'd be a cool thing if you can get that going. It's because that's the thing that almost, it's a lot.
And they're room temperature.
Yeah.
They can handle if your house gets cold or if it gets hot. I mean, they're super hardy, and everything I've read about them, they're super easy to keep once they're eating.
Well, and we'll get back to lizards in a second, but Brittany has a similar project with garters. You've got melanistic garters, which are also underappreciated.
Yeah, garters in general, I think, which is one of the reasons that I kind of have been working on that project, which I've been really enjoying. But I'm working on getting quite a few different species of garters. And actually, speaking of the people that you got the decays from, just finding the babies, I am actually officially a garter snake breeder now. I had what I thought was a 2 females who I didn't think were old enough to breed. In a tank by themselves, and went to change water last week, and there were a couple of babies underneath the water bowl. So nice. I didn't even think she was old enough to breed, but apparently one of the ones that was sent to me as a female was a male, and I officially have garter babies now.
They I kind of got baby garters once. So when I first started working at the zoo in Louisiana, we had one building that was set up and it was all native stuff. And it was really kind of a rotating thing. It was pretty much anything we found, we kind of put on. There were some toads in there, and we had like a box turtle. And so everybody's like, you didn't quarantine. It was not really a building for quarantining. They were all wild caught stuff that kind of was just to show native stuff. And I found a huge garter on grounds at the zoo that I put in there. When I looked at her, when I first caught her, I was like, this bitch is pregnant. She's got to be. And so one day I went in there checking on everything, and there were these tiny little babies all over, and I'm sitting there like playing, like trying to find Easter eggs. It's just like lifting stuff, trying to see if I can find baby garter snakes.
Yeah.
But they are super small when they come out.
Yeah.
They are pretty tiny. Pretty tiny.
He was trying to get them out of the tub yesterday to put them in the enclosure after we got it set up, and just chasing them around the tub, trying to get them without hurting them. 2 of them are really chill.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are not. They like flail around.
Do they musk on you? Because that shit smells horrible.
None of these musked yet. She said,
I've only ever had one do it. You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I know. I had to ride the truck with you. For
unlike garters, who every garter I've ever picked up was like, nah, I'll go ahead and musk on you just for fun.
Yeah, so the melanistics that you were talking about, James, those are some of my favorite that I'm working with so far, because they are super chill, even as babies, and they have yet to musk on me. And I have a fairly sizable group of them, and none of them have ever musked on me. So
that's awesome.
And also they look like tiny indigos. What is not to love about that, right?
That's
I mean, they're just really cool snakes.
I would say the ones that Ryan McVeigh posted of those blue-eyed leucistics looked amazing. Like little blue-eyed leucistic garters. Those are awesome.
Yes.
And I'm not usually a big
there's
fan
a lot of
leucistic.
really cool morph stuff that's coming up in garters now that is really just getting started. But it's like I think it could be the next ball python, which I hope it doesn't quite get there. But I mean, there's a lot that we don't know yet, and there's a lot that we're finding out right now. So.
Unfortunately, the one thing that will keep that from happening, and it's the same for the decays, is they don't eat rodents. Right? Yeah. Garters, you gotta go get fish and do all the other things for them.
Well, they do as adults. It's just the babies that you kind of have to do this special diet.
Then that's the problem. If they don't start out on little pinky mice, then the masses won't do it. And look, I'm guilty of. There's things I like where I'm like, I like feeding mice. I don't really feel like dealing with that shit, so I don't do it. But that's what causes some things to get big. That's what's going to cause something like garters or decays not to catch on. But that's fine. I don't think they need to. I think those are species that you can produce enough in a year and still sell every single one of them, no problem, once they're born. And like I said, I think that's what people, if you want to breed animals, breed snakes or whatever, and you want to breed the common stuff, that's fine. But branch out and find other stuff, because I think a lot of folks don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they like because they haven't seen it.
Well, and I am getting more and more people requesting cages for more obscure species lately.
Yeah.
Less and less ball python racks and more old world rat snakes and things like that.
Well, and like that, I've said before, I make fun of ball pythons, but the one thing they do is they do bring people in the hobby, and they do advance the hobby. Tons of stuff that we have in the hobby is due to ball pythons. Bunch of the equipment and all that due to ball pythons. But a lot of folks should they need to find out. Now, there's a double-sided sword, a double-edged sword to this. What I can't do sayings tonight. My brain is not fucked up. It's not working. But a lot of these obscure species that are neat, unfortunately, are also on flipper tables or importer tables. And a lot of them are imports because they just aren't overly readily available in the hobby, and because the captive version of that is $400 more than what it is on that table, as it should be, because someone put the time into it. Like when we had April Linkfield on, and we talked about the house snakes and the file snakes. Right? Those should be they should cost more. She's put time into them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of folks will see these animals that we like, they get them, and they die, and they go, "Oh, I don't want to do that. That's a hard animal to take care of."
Yeah.
You know, when you've got an adult decay snake that's eating no problem right now, right? So obviously, if it's set up right and if it started right, that's a great pet. Or garters, once you get them going and they're older, they're a great pet. So I think that's a problem, is that some of these people do branch out to try some of these other things. They just don't try it the right way. And then they go, well, it's just not an easy animal to take care of.
Right. And that's kind of I think there's a line there, James, because if we didn't have people importing, we wouldn't have any of this cool stuff to put in people's hands who can do a good job with it, right? But as a pet, my personal stance on wild caught stuff and imported stuff is that it should be bought by people who are going to work it, not as a pet. Work projects with these animals and try to get them captive bred so that we can offer them as pets. See if what kind of humidity do they need, what kind of people that know how to work with them and adjust things and listen to what the animals are telling them. That's the kind of people that we need buying these animals. And you're setting up somebody for failure, and oftentimes, because of the price point, it is somebody that's new to the hobby wanting to get an animal, and you're setting them up for failure, selling them wild cut skink or iguana or whatever the case may be, tokay gecko. But when they're new and they don't know how to adjust and how to treat an animal that's going to be stressed, going to be probably malnourished, probably going to have parasites, and most of these people are not telling them that either. They're not telling them, buy this $20 lizard so you can go home and deal with all these things. So I think that turns people off, and so it's a fine line. We have to have people bringing stuff in, but I really don't like it when I see sulcatas go out the door for $50.
Well, and we've talked before how we price ourselves out of some of the expensive stuff. Like we always bring up the Bolins. We kind of price ourselves out of a hobby as being able to try and get those into the right hands, because people can't afford a $10,000 snake, even if they could possibly breed it, whatever. And on the other end of this, we kind of price ourselves out of that too, because we go in and someone who's wants to buy their first reptile goes to a reptile show and they walk up to a table and whatever it is on a table is $20. Fuck yeah, they're going to buy that. It's $20. It's $20 and I can have a reptile, because they're not thinking, I want this one species because I've researched it, because they didn't fucking research it. And I really want this, and I'm going to go try and find that one. They're walking around trying to find the cheapest thing because they want to own a reptile at the cheapest price. And that's a problem. So even the Reddies,
that in and of itself is a problem.
Well, yeah. And the Reddies here, they said they have the same story all the time with wild caught chameleons. Someone buys a wild caught chameleon because it's cheap, and then it dies, and they go, well, chameleons are hard to keep. We haven't killed this fucker yet. And, it's a captive bred chameleon, and it's taken care of. So I mean, they're not hard to keep. They're just, if you get one in that's already weak, they're probably gonna die.
Right. And the people that are buying an animal like that are not going to want to set it up in a big enough screen cage with UVB lighting and a mister system, so right.
And so unfortunately, we kind of do that. So I think maybe more experienced people need to. It's hard for me to say this because I don't want things off those tables either, because I have the same worry of mites and disease.
Right. And, I have good friends that do that. So it's a difficult thing, right? You don't even want to say it. Like, it's a difficult thing. We need them, but we don't want other people to buy them, which is a little bit hypocritical. And
so it's kind of rough, but it may be better for some of the more experienced people to, when the reptile show, go visit some of those tables, see what's on them and go, man, that's kind of cool looking, and learn about it. And maybe you can be the person that can figure that out.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's kind of another reason that I kind of like to do some obscure stuff is, I love bearded dragons and iguanas and things like that. Of course, we're thankfully past the iguana thing, but bearded dragons get put in front of a lot of people as this is the pet reptile that you can have. This is the one. If you don't want this, then you can have a ball python. But if you don't want a snake, it's a bearded dragon. And that is what's, put in front of people. And bearded dragons are fantastic animals, but they are not generally for a beginner who hasn't done any research and doesn't want to spend a ton of money. So I like to work with things, get them established, learn how they work. And most of the things I sell are pretty easy to take care of. But you just have to know how to do it. So I like to as a, of course we, talk to people and try to educate them on these things. And there's only so much you can do with that. But I like to put other things in front of people that make also, super interesting and fun pets that they would maybe never have heard about before if I hadn't captive bred it. Which you mentioned the viper geckos, that's a great example because I've talked to a ton of people who had never even heard of viper geckos, and I've sold over 100 of them last year, and I get pictures all the time from people that have bought them and they just love them. And so we have a mutual friend who sent me a picture recently. They just had their first babies from them, and they were over the moon. So, and none of those people probably would have them if I hadn't, because there's so few people working with them if I hadn't bred them. So seeing that and seeing other people get to have fun with something that I've, been breeding and I can give them information on it, and seeing that get reciprocated and that goes down the road and other people are now having babies that they'll sell and get more people interested. That's really the whole reason why I do this. My passion for it and seeing other people get passionate about stuff that isn't just bearded dragons and ball pythons. And not that I don't have love for those animals too, but there's all kinds of cool stuff out there.
So Jason Moore asked, are viper geckos communal?
They are, females are communal. So just like with most lizards, males will generally fight each other for territory, but you can have multiple females. In fact, my main breeding colony is 4 females and 1 male. So they've gotten along perfectly for years now. So
that's one thing. Again, I think you do is kind of the oddball stuff. The viper geckos are cool. Our other friend April, who used to be on here, had the only time I've ever seen barking geckos, which are a cool little gecko.
Right. Those are very cool.
That people don't seem to have. And then you also have those chameleon geckos, which oddly enough, so you had the chameleon gecko on your table. And then I was clearing out some old podcast episodes, and I apparently have done way too many episodes because there was an episode of when I did pint-sized reptiles where we talked to somebody about chameleon geckos. And I completely forgot I knew anything about chameleon geckos. I still don't know anything about them other than every time I see it on Brittany's table, it looks fake. It just doesn't move. It looks like a little fake toy because it's straight and just sitting there.
Yeah. Somebody told me that this weekend, James, actually. They were like, is that a toy?
It looks like one.
Yeah, I know. It does. You're not wrong.
It's a cool little gecko, though. Like, it's not flashy. It's not tons of colors. It's not overly cryptic, although in the right situation, it definitely is. But it's a cool little gecko. And
it is. It's a slow moving, easy to handle, very hardy, easy to take care of. They're cool geckos. They're really cool.
The Reddy said the captive bred viper gecko should be established in the hobby because they're amazing. And they should be. There's a lot of things that aren't established in the hobby because of, well, crested geckos, right? Crested geckos take up a lot of people's space because that's what they want to breed, because that's what they think everybody wants. But I mean, I've been to shows, and don't get me, Brittany will sell a crested gecko, but so will 15 or 20 other tables. And so no one actually made any money on crested geckos that weekend because everyone sold a crested gecko.
Right.
But you'll sell other stuff.
Right. And there's not that much project stuff like there is with ball pythons, right? There's a little bit more now than there were a few years ago, but so people are not really buying for project stuff. They're just buying mostly to breed, maybe for certain traits or whatever, but mostly just for pets. So, if there's 5,000 people walk through the door, there's not, and 20 crested gecko vendors, you spread the pull out of people. It's definitely sell fewer, but that's okay. I mean, I think crested geckos are awesome, and they're really fun to work with, but we do have too many of them in the hobby right now, just like we have too many ball pythons, and that will course correct, over time. We go through these cycles with all kinds of different things, and they always eventually course correct.
Well, and the good thing about if people diversify in what they sell and what they breed is someone comes in there looking for a crested gecko, walks to your table, then sees maybe a gargoyle, or then sees the viper geckos, or then sees the chameleon gecko, or any of the other things on your table, and they didn't realize existed, but the crested brought them to the table. And then they may realize that's not the actual lizard I want. This whole thing is way cooler, and go that route.
Right. And I actually thought about completely getting out of crested geckos, but I couldn't for two reasons. One was because I still do really enjoy working with cresties, and I have a soft place in my heart for them. But two is that I get a lot of people, like you just said, to my table looking for crested geckos, and then walk away maybe buying a Garg or a Yuri, like you said. Those Yuri sell like crazy because they are so cool. Or even sometimes people completely change and go, I want to go arid and do a viper gecko because I just cannot walk away from your table without buying one. So and just be able to share all those other things with people and share about their husbandry and about their history, and that's a lot of fun for me. So, and getting to educate people.
Just that all that information is fascinating to me.
So I want to move to another.
Well, I don't have a kid, so that helps.
That's she has time and money.
Oh,
right.
So I want to move to another lizard you do that I have said for a long time that I thought was going to be the next big thing in the hobby. It's not there yet, and oddly enough, someone who I thought was going to make it the next big thing in the hobby has gotten out of it. But I know where those lizards ended up. They ended up with a friend. So I've thought that Cuban anoles and the night anoles and all those large anole species were going to be the next big thing. Because one, if for people that are afraid of chameleons, anoles are a hardier lizard overall. I'm not saying, look, chameleons taken care of properly, obviously you can keep them alive. They're a hardy animal. If you want one, get it from the Reddies. It comes well started. You're not getting a baby. It's going to be fine. But for the general public, I think that some of these anoles, especially some of these other anoles that come in the blues and yellows and everything, are really, now the price point right now on them is not general public friendly.
Right. It's still project level people, right?
Yes. But I think they're going to get there. I think that those projects are going to lead to more people wanting them, and they're going to, look, lychee prices are still not super friendly, but they have come way down from where lychee prices were, because everybody's like, these big ass chameleons or geckos are really cool. So I think the anoles will get there. So tell us about your anoles. I think those are really cool. And then, we're talking about our friend David got a whole bunch of them. So I think that's going to help too, because he does everything right as well.
Right. He does. He is definitely an amazing anole breeder. He and my buddy Cody, who you guys also know, they actually split that project. Cody got a pretty cool project out of that too. So I'm interested to see what both those guys do with that. And I think even Brian got some animals from that group. So that'll be very interesting. I'm very, very interested to see what they produce. Sorry?
You're talking about Kodiak Cody?
Yes, Kodiak Cody.
Yeah, because he was getting out of ball pythons, right?
I don't know about that, but
cut back on.
No, he's not getting out of ball pythons. He's still doing. Oh, speaking of Cody and anoles, he's probably going to kill me, but I have to do a shout out for him. He just hatched the very first that we think ever in the world Anolis transversalis. We know that there have been some hatched from eggs that were from wild caught females, but we think this is the first, from what we can find, the first Anolis transversalis that was hatched and bred in captivity, and he just hatched it this
James
weekend.
and I are googling the same thing.
Trying to figure out what
shout out to him. It's the banded tree anole is the
oh, that's cool looking.
Isn't that cool?
Hold on, I got cool.
Yeah, he's gonna absolutely kill me.
Look at the
for giving him a shout out, but I'm so proud of him.
I'm gonna pull a picture of it.
They have like the bluest blue eye. That's crazy.
Yeah, they have a piercingly blue eyes. Yeah,
I love lizards so much.
I like lizards. They just are more time consuming than snakes, and so that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Oh, that's definitely true. Definitely true. They're more time consuming. It's a daily thing rather than a weekly or bi-weekly thing.
Here it is. This is in the middle. That was but I got pulled up on the screen. That's super cool looking.
Yeah.
Those are
So I'm really stoked about that. He's really just gotten into lizards in the last year or so, and he's doing some really amazing things and working with some really cool species. So that's awesome. I was super proud of him to hatch that. But yeah, I work with quite a few species of anoles. I've really kind of gotten into anoles over the past 5 years or so. I started actually with the false chameleons, which I think you've seen on my table as well, James.
Yes. Yeah.
The little babies. Yeah.
I've seen them making babies at your shop too.
Yes, that's true. You have. So pretty much if you've ever been to my shop for more than 15 minutes, you've seen them making babies. I will say the male is very well satisfied. But yeah, so I actually started with those guys as far as anoles go, and just absolutely fell in love with them, and was finally, and right, that this is a lesson for the reptile hobby. I paid a ton of money for the females that I finally got, because no females had been available for years and years, and I finally found some, paid a ton of money for them, and about 3 months later, I think a big group of them were imported from Cuba or maybe caught in Florida or something, and they just flooded the market. And then within a month or so after that, they were like $150 each. So that's when you're doing these reptile projects, keep those kind of things in mind. But so I didn't get nearly out of the babies what I paid for the females, but that was fine because that's a really fun animal. It would be a great alternative even to a bearded dragon. They take up a little bit more space arboreally, but they're easy to take care of. They're super interactive. They don't require high heat. They're very easy to handle. Even for a responsible kid, they'd be easy to handle.
It can also be a far more enjoyable cage experience for as far as decorating versus a bearded dragon.
Right, I think so. And it's less cleanup. It's less work because that kind of cage you can have isopod colony in there that's taking care of most of that for you.
So let's talk about the Indian anoles. I guess the king of the anoles when it comes to the hobby has always been the Cuban night anole because they got imported and then the invasive into Florida, and then people were able to catch them in the wild in Florida and sell them like crazy, which is another reason that they're super cheap and people buy them off tables and then they die because they're thrown in a bag and then shipped off to somewhere and not really taken care. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. But so there's the Cuban night anole. That's not the same as the false chameleon, right?
Correct.
So
but they're both crown giants, but correct. That's not the same thing.
And they're both very large anoles, and if anybody's not used to it, the little green lizards you have running around your house, but on steroids, much larger. The problem with Cuban night anoles for a lot of them, I think, is that a lot of people are getting these wild caughts, and the wild caughts aren't calm.
No, they probably aren't.
They're not fans of being held. And so that makes it a hard experience for someone.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. I've seen them repeatedly, beautiful adults for $20-25 on somebody's table, and it just makes me a little sick to my stomach.
Yeah. Cause the problem is, unfortunately, and it's human nature for a lot of people, that if they didn't pay a lot for animals, then they don't need to put a lot into the animal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the problem with bearded dragons, right? You can get a bearded dragon for $20, but the setup's going to cost you $250 if you do it right. And
at least
easy.
Yeah.
And in their mind, well, why am I going to pay that if the lizard's only $20?
I mean, if you're getting an awesome VivTech bulb, you can easily use our Gumbo code.
It's Gumbo 22, say 15%.
And you can save money, but you're still going to pay good money for a bulb that's going to last you forever.
Forevers. How I
did that.
I did. Good job. So there's the Cuban night anole.
Nice segue.
There's the false chameleon, which is not a chameleon, which the name implies, not a chameleon. And then what are the insane colorful ones that y'all have? Because I've seen them on your table, or at your place, and I've seen them on Eclectic Reptiles, our friend David's table.
Right.
They're crazy.
They are crazy. Those are actually a subspecies of the night anole. So Cuban night anoles are Anolis equestris, and those guys are Anolis equestris puteor. So yeah, the blue beauties, as their common name is, or puteor, for the scientific name, are insanely colored, blue and green and yellow night anoles. Basically, this is subspecies. So they have a very, very similar body plan and everything to the Cuban night anoles.
Yeah. So if someone out there is like, I really love the color of chameleons, and maybe the name chameleon scares you off from having a lizard like that, it's going to cost you a little bit. But the blue right now, the blue beauty anoles though give you that color, give you that size. They're a little hardier, and they're amazing looking. Like I said, you've got some, and then like we've seen them on David's table, and then he apparently now has a whole bunch more. And we had David on. It was a while back, but it was a Corpus Christi show. We had him on for a little bit, and we talked to him about lizards. But they're like I said, I really think that large anoles are one of the futures for pet lizards, just because their ease of care. It's and I don't mean that as in like you don't have to take care of it, but I mean, come on, they are.
But they're easy.
Easier.
I mean, they're very easy to take care of. They're very hardy too. I mean, I think chameleons, as you said, are not really that difficult to take care of, but it does require a certain level of, setup and daily maintenance and those kind of things. Not that these guys don't, but they can handle probably a little bit more deviation from the median than a chameleon can. They are just super duper hardy. They live in all kinds of conditions and do fantastic in captivity. And I really think that Anolis equestris in general, and then all of these morphs and subspecies that are people are really starting to work with now, are really going to be a huge thing when people really appreciate them for what they are and what they can be, rather than the $20 lizard adult anole on the table that's not going to be super happy to be handled. I have baby equestris that will sit on me, and that if you get them young and socialize them, they can be just like super amazing to just jump on you, just like the emerald tree skinks. I have some equestris that act like that.
So now I know you're lying, because these bastards don't jump on you at all.
You, they just don't like.
Which I hate. I think so. Again, I'm not a huge lizard fan, but I really freaking love these lizards. They just don't love me.
That is a fact, baby.
It drives me nuts because they
pay more attention to Joe and I than they do you.
But
maybe it's because you're a man.
I don't know, but they pay attention in the room. Like right now, they're out and they're paying attention to things moving around. They're looking at you, and you can see them look at you. It's very weird. Like if you go in to feed them, you can see them like make eye contact.
Oh yeah.
And look at you, and so it's so cool because I think a lot of the smaller lizard species, this being one of them, get overlooked because people don't find them personable. Like a bearded dragon, right? But I don't know.
In my opinion, this thing is way more personable.
I don't know if bearded dragons are overly personable. I think everybody just loves the fact that it will lay flat on your shoulder or whatever while you watch TV, and they go, "It loves me." And I'm like, "No, your house is 70 degrees and it likes it at 110 degrees."
Right.
It's sitting there.
It tolerates.
I get asked repeatedly at shows, does it like being held? And my consistent response is, you're going to be hard pressed to find a reptile that enjoys being held.
Yeah.
The holding is for us. It's not for them. I'm not saying you should never, hold your animals, but it don't be under any illusion that it's for them.
Yeah, it completely tolerates it sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
But I think the anoles are cool, and they're not. The problem is, let's try this. A Cuban night anole, just a basic Cuban night anole, not wild caught. If someone's captive breeding one, do you know what that goes for? What that would be?
Probably just an equestris, probably about $100 captive bred.
Okay. So in reality, that's not a ton for what you're getting, but the general sees it's an anole. And so they start to think that's a cheap lizard. Right. $100 is a lot. Now that's for a basic.
And they probably think they have them in their backyard.
Yeah. Well, everybody thinks they have everything in their backyard. I've seen that. No, you have not seen this Burmese python in your backyard, unless you're in Florida. You may have.
Somebody this weekend told me that they had neon day geckos in their backyard, and I said, "Oh, you live in Madagascar."
You should be like, "Can you catch me some of those?"
Right. I need to diversify my bloodlines. Could I come to your house and catch a few?
Yeah, let me get some of those. But so that's a problem. So then we move up to say the false chameleons. What's a false chameleon go for?
Well, now it's like I said, the market was flooded a year or so ago, and it's come way down. So now probably a captive bred one, probably looking at 150-ish.
Okay, so really for what you're getting, still doable if people can get past the fact that it is a lizard, an anole, not a. That's the problem is people look at like our panther chameleon, and they go, yeah, that's a $600 animal, right? But they don't look at a Cuban a Cuban anole or a false chameleon and go, yeah, that's $100, $150 animal. So now let's move up to the pretty ones, the blue beauties and stuff like that. Just on the lower end, what is something with color? What is that going to cost somebody?
So they actually, one of the big breeders dropped the price 6 months or so ago considerably. So they're now going for something like $1,000 to $1,500 each.
And seeing that's going to cost people to go, well, there's no way I'm paying that. And that's the problem is it's tricky. I don't want to.
Was that beep at our house?
I don't think so.
Was that beep at your house?
I think it was at my house. Sorry.
Okay, I was just
somebody
like,
opened one of the doors.
I was like, something. I've not heard that noise before at our house, so I panicked slightly.
So here's, and I don't want to say this and offend the gecko or the anole breeding community, but some of those prices price the general, not even the general public, price the good reptile keepers out of those animals, which I think unfortunately slows down the spread of those animals into the hobby. Now I'm not saying they need to turn into ball pythons and everybody needs to own 50 of them, but if there were some more entry level ones that were less, you'd start to see them way more in the hobby, and I think that'd be good for the hobby. It's hard to pay $1,000 for any reptile. We talked about that last week. We asked people what their limit was on what they would spend, and a lot of people, their limit was under $1,000.
Yep.
So it's hard. And so it's a tricky thing when it comes to pricing reptiles, because I think more of those in the hands of people would be better. I mean, the right people. Obviously, I don't want them to be the $20 one on a flipper's table that they're just buying wild caught from South Florida. But it's tricky. And I think we'll get there.
It will come down. It's just like anything else that, kind of starts out high and comes down. It is over the past, about 2-ish years since they've been available fairly consistently. They've come down like over $1,000, $1,500. So that they're coming down at a very fast rate, actually. But it's just like anything, like any new morphin ball pythons or boas or anything, always starts at a collector project only price point, and hopefully comes down to get in the hands of other good keepers fairly quickly.
So Timothy in the chat says, if croc monitors were $100 and Cuban anoles were $5,000, people would be running to buy the Cuban anole. I get the point there, but I don't think that's true. I think people like the idea of a croc monitor because it's a dinosaur. Because that's when we see it with water monitors, right? Water monitors you can get, or Nile monitors you can get for super cheap, and people will buy those and they don't fucking need them. They buy them all the time. The Cuban anoles, though, I think $100. Now, look, I'm looking on Morph Market, and there's this place selling a wild caught Cuban anole for $100. I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I see them all the time for $20-$25. Like, I see really nice ones at shows for that much money.
Yeah, this one looks not so great. So that's ridiculous. But here's a Cuban false chameleon for $500.
Hmm.
I haven't seen one listed that high in a while.
Yeah, well, it's still for sale, so maybe let's look that for a while.
Maybe why it's still for sale.
Just going through some of the, it's interesting to go through the other lizard section of Morph Market, because I never go through the other lizards. I never go through any lizards, but the other lizards always give you some of the weird things.
That's the first one I go through every morning.
I can see that.
Other lizards.
Because you like the weird stuff. But Gila monsters,
I do like the weird stuff.
They have Gila monsters listed underneath other lizards. I'm like, okay. Yeah, here's a false chameleon baby for $200.
Yeah. 150, 200 is what they usually go for.
And it's $199. So that sounds, and it's the place's, I'm not gonna say the place's name, but it sounds like a retail store, not a breeder. Yeah, here's a giant blue beauty for, I love how they priced it at $999. Just put $1,000. Put fucking $1,000. You want $1,000. But they are so pretty, and I think that they'll catch on. I think definitely they'll catch on. It's just now, along with the amount that are currently in Texas, hopefully they will
right.
Keep going. There's a lot of them in Texas now.
Yeah,
there are. They all originated at one place, but he spread them out quite a bit.
Yeah, so. But that kind of brings you back to how you need to diversify. You kind of need to pay attention to what's going on around you if you're going to diversify, because we are connected into the shows around here, so we kind of know what everybody's projects are. So whereas you may not breed a ton of gargoyles and leechies, that kind of makes sense, because there are certain people we know that are going to sell leechies. before you sell your lychee, right?
I would send them to him anyway. So
I was just
yeah.
about to say, and there are other people with other animals that even if I want to sell what I have, I'm gonna send them to the guy or the girl
look,
that sells that.
And I'll say, Carl Vargas makes the best looking lychees I've ever seen.
Yes, he does.
And he doesn't even bring those to the shows I go to.
No.
Like, the best ones are not brought to the shows I go to. And I still love, like, the pinks on some of those are freaking insane.
Insane.
And his the rock iguanas that he's
yeah.
He was my roommate this weekend.
He
stayed with us, and they had one that they brought to the house that was just freaking gorgeous, man.
They're like puppy dogs.
They are. Rachel wants one so bad.
His daughter, though, you needed to get you and Rachel, if you get one, take lessons from his daughter, because apparently she is like the lizard whisperer now. She is so cool if you talk to her.
They had one that they brought. The reason they brought it to the house is because she's working on taming it. So about every little bit, she'd go get it out and hold it, and then it would kind of get antsy, and she'd hold it for another minute and then go put it up. And by the end of the weekend, she was walking around with it on top of her head.
That's another area where this hobby has really set us up for failure, because green iguanas are $20 a piece. Now, granted, the green iguana phase has, like you said, has definitely gone down. It's not like it was when I first got in the hobby and you found them everywhere.
Oh my gosh,
but
it made me so mad.
There are so many other quote unquote iguana species that are a million times better, and had we put the effort into those in the 80s and 90s, and we would be there. That being one of them, the rock iguanas and rhino iguanas, these are so much better than green iguanas.
I thought Morph Market didn't allow venomous animals.
I don't know. I did see
There's a bunch of
Gilas on there.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, but that's another area where we've got to get more of these species that we know as reptile people are a better pet for people.
Right. But that also involves a lot of marketing. So you have to get out there and talk to people about them. I cannot tell you how many times I've given the whole spiel about viper geckos as an example, because nobody's ever heard of them. And even people that don't want one want to know what's going on with these guys. Where are they from? What do they do? And you've got to do a lot of that and really get excited. You have to love what you're working with. Even if at the end of the day, you're trying to be in the black in the bank, you have to love what you're working with, because especially if you want to work with this kind of, oddball, eclectic kind of stuff. If you don't love it and you can't really talk to people about it, you're not going to sell it. You've got to be in love with the projects that you work on if you want to do this kind of stuff.
Otherwise, why are you in this?
Right.
Well, we know why
and,
some people.
And the other guy's name, who we're not saying, he is Dave, is absolutely amazing at that as well, and that's why that's one of the reasons why there are so many blue beauties in Texas.
I didn't know where you were going with that, because you were like, the other guy we're not saying. Just like blasted his name, and I'm like,
but in a good sense. In a good sense.
Yeah, in a good sense. No, in a good sense. We had kind of skirted around that a couple of times, but he is amazing at talking to people about animals and getting other people excited, and as passionate as he is about stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons we have so many. To
me, David Eclectic Reptiles does everything in the hobby the way people should do things in the hobby, and the way I should, and I don't. But he is 100% a quality in, quality out guy. Whereas a lot of people in this hobby are not that. They are animal in, whatever that animal may be, quality wise, and animal out. We'll try and say it's quality, but it's not. There's never been a thing on his table that I've ever gone, ugh. Not once.
Mm-hmm.
No. Everything on his table, I'm like, holy shit. I can't do that.
I can't afford that.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that a lot.
But there's a reason. Like, I've never looked at his table and gone, why is it priced that? Right.
Right.
You can walk by a table and we've talked about how to set up at a show. His is the way to set up at a show. Now, it's not for everybody, but when you walk up to his table at a show, whatever you're about to see is going to be a quality animal. His lighting, his backdrop, his tables, his setup, all looks amazing. He's always professional. And will talk to anybody, even though if they're not got me, he's talked to me forever, and I haven't yet to buy something from him, even though I really, really want one of his boas.
And God bless him, he has given you like opportunity after opportunity after opportunity.
I can't do it, and I want to.
He's like, let's do a payment plan. He knows how much James
because
wants.
Unlike many of my friends in this hobby, I fucking know I'm poor. And I'm not going to make myself more poor.
Yeah, and we just had a kid who now is going to play volleyball.
So many of other friends in this hobby will buy something like, dude, you were just complaining you didn't have money last week. Yeah.
Like we have to
That's
start
so
a side
true,
hustle
man.
We had to start a side hustle so we can afford all the extra stuff that our kid wants to do. Because as soon as volleyball ends, she wants to go out for the tennis team. So like, it's never ending.
But Eclectic Reptile, if anyone's ever at a show, and he does the big shows, he does the herp shows, he does, go by his table, say hi to him, and look at his animals. And if you've ever wondered how you should do your business, that's how you should do your business. I don't think I can almost guarantee, I've never been to his place, but I can almost guarantee he does not have an ugly animal anywhere in his collection. No, he does not have anything with bad markings or that just was cheap and he got it anywhere. So that's
he always gets the best in.
Oh no, we lost sound. You still there?
Oh, sorry, I got a phone call, and it cut me off. Sorry.
But yeah, that's just, you got to buy quality animals. And we go back to talking about some of the import stuff. Sometimes it's hard to get quality animals if you want to start a project on something new, because you kind of are left to the whims of whatever's coming in and get what you get. But if you really enjoy that species, over time, you can turn animals into quality collections. Like, it's just takes time.
Yeah. And also I found that building relationships with some of the people that bring some of this stuff in, as you get more into this and know what you want to work with and about things that aren't regularly coming in or that you've seen once or, whatever. And you get into these kind of things, you find out about these animals and do research on them. You can often reach out to somebody that you've made a connection with and say, hey, do you have anybody that can source these for me? Cause I want to, try to breed them in captivity. So, if you want to do something like that, being nice to people who can get you stuff to work on a project is probably a good way to go.
That is true. I've made a lot of friends, and it has come in very handy sometimes on certain animals that I've gotten. But I was going somewhere. Hold on. Wait, I'll find it. Nope. Don't know where it is. It was there. It was on the fuck me. I blame diabetes. I can't remember shit anymore. Fuck. Katie, talk.
Oh, I don't know what you were gonna say.
Yeah,
though.
I don't either.
I don't know what's about.
It was good. It was gonna be good. It was.
I don't know.
Fuck me.
Are you just? I don't know that you should blame diabetes though.
Yeah, I gotta blame something. I may just be getting I think my brain's just going.
I know mine is. I was looking for my phone in my truck the other day with the flashlight on my phone.
I've done that before. I've looked for my glasses while they've been on my face because I was that tired that I didn't realize I had them on my face.
I almost had it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I got it. Came back to me. I was going to say, and I know this is going to feel weird coming from me because I shit on ball pythons all the time as a species. Don't let someone's negative comments about a species you like keep you from doing that species. Look, honestly, if ball pythons are the shit for you and you really enjoy them, fucking breed them. It's for you. Breed them. Now, understand, it could be hard to sell some if that's what you're trying to do. And if you're going to do it, you need to specialize. You can't just be out there breeding pieds all day long.
And as I'm scrolling through Facebook, Lovin's Reptile, Brian Lovins, this little female Cuban animal is amazing. He puts a bunch of stuff about her. Just a special thank you to Eclectic Reptiles.
But don't let, a lot of people make fun of me because I like sand boas. They're stupid looking little derpy sandworms. And I love them. And people will make fun of them. I don't give two shits. It's not going to keep me from keeping them.
You just don't you think how much he gets. He is so excited about these stupid little looking things.
I love my sand boas.
Oh my gosh, they're adorable.
They're a goofy ass little thing. But so you just can't let people's negativity, because I think a lot of people, there's a lot of reasons why people don't get into parts of this hobby. And our hobby can be very negative. And look, I'm not going to lie. I'm really good at being negative about stuff. So I'm not saying I'm the example of how you should be in this hobby. But you can't let negativity in the hobby keep you from doing something you like or getting into something you like. Again, if you want to get into some of these oddball lizards, and just because they're not a crested gecko or a bearded dragon or the next big $30,000 more for whatever, don't listen to them. Find the thing. Look, if you want to get into viper geckos, which again, if you're a gecko person, you should definitely want to get into viper geckos and talk to Brittany because they are the coolest looking little gecko.
Yeah.
But do it. If you like them, do it. Get into whatever you like, because then you'll stay with it. And again, I think everybody needs to diversify. You can't. You're not good, Justin Gabilka. You're just not. I don't care who you are. I'm talking to everybody. You're not him. So don't go buy someone's collection of ball pythons and be like, he's doing it, I can do it.
I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Gonna do it. Look, I bred ball pythons this year. Gonna be a millionaire. I got 3 of them in there. 2 of them have eaten for me.
You know how to become a millionaire in ball python breeding, right?
Start out with $2 million.
Yep.
I think you start out with more than that.
Yep. Start with a billionaire.
but every now and then, go through Morph Market and cruise Morph Market and see. Go to the other lizard and the other snake and the other python, the other boa. Go to those groups and look and don't just look and like go, oh, I want that and buy it. Like look and research and see what people know about it and find out about it and talk to people at show. Go to a show, and if you go up to a show, this is tricky. So if you go to a show and you go to a table that has a ton of different species and it's obvious they are a reseller or a flipper, it's going to sound harsh because we know something. Maybe don't take everything they tell you about that species as gospel, because some of those tables are simply trying to sell you an animal and they will tell you what they think they want you to hear to sell an animal. But if you go to a table like Brittany's and you see 3 or 4 or 5 viper geckos and not 70 different species of things and all in delicate, she can probably tell you about that species, or whoever it is. You go up there and you see they have a small clutch or a small litter of a species, ask them about it. If you think that's cool, again, ask them about it. They're probably a good source of information. I'll take care of it.
Right,
you gotta learn. That's another problem, is you gotta learn to talk to people.
Yeah. Well, I think on both sides of the table, right? Some of us in the hobby aren't that great at talking to people either. So
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I think there are some people that have a lot of stuff on their table that can tell you about it, but like somebody who breeds something is always going to be able to hopefully tell you more than somebody who's just, reselling it.
Yeah.
And find somebody who will talk to you, right? Because I love talking to people. That's, one of the biggest reasons I do shows is educating people on some of this weird stuff that I love and seeing if I can get them to love it too. So a good breeder should be excited to talk to you and, give you whatever information you need and probably more than you want.
Well, and I'm not knocking everybody that has a large variety, because like our buddy JT will have a large variety on his table, but he has kept a lot of that stuff, or has experienced a lot of this, or at least can put you in the right direction of who to talk to about that stuff. But there are definitely some people we know in this hobby that are used car salesmen selling animals.
There are. That's absolutely true.
And unfortunately, the general public doesn't know that. They don't know the difference.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why if you're truly passionate about this and you breed and you vend at a show, you have to talk to people that walk by, because the used car salesman guy will, and he'll tell them whatever he needs to.
Yes. Yep. I've heard, I had somebody come up to me at a different, not a herp show, a different show that is very much like a zoo kind of crowd that thinks they can touch everything and have never been to a reptile show before, and asked me if a little Exoterra transport box I had on my table, like a breeding box that's made for like hatchling garter snakes or hatchling, New Caledonian species, would house an adult leopard gecko. And I said, well, it's way too small, first of all, and they also need heat. And they said, well, the person I bought it from told me that it didn't need heat. And they stood there and argued with me that a leopard gecko didn't need heat. And the person that sold it told them that they didn't have to provide heat for this animal. So there are absolutely people that will tell you whatever they need to get you to give them the money, and they don't care. And that's very unfortunate. I think, especially within the herps group, that's definitely the very small minority. I think most of the people, it's a really good community, and and most of the breeders there are pretty decent. But there's some in every crowd, and ask questions and make sure it seems like they really know what they're talking about, and they're not. If they answer a question in the way that you would think, they would want you to think the opposite. Like if somebody says, well, can you handle it? And they say, no, they don't really like handling. They probably are being honest with you, because, if somebody says yes to every question you ask, you might want to go and ask the next person those same questions and see if you get the same answers.
Well, and the problem is people, the first person they hear something from,
right. That's the
truth.
Yeah.
And so you can't let that first person they hear it from be the wrong person.
So it's like when our kid was having to do research and you were like, don't use the first thing that pops up on Google.
You have to go several links and read several things and research and find a commonality between them all.
But people don't know how to do that anymore.
Because they're lazy.
Oh, yeah.
What were you going to say, Robert? I'm sorry.
I've recently heard the same vendor tell customers that the baby sulcatas that he was selling didn't need UV, and was selling 2-day-old corn snakes, telling people, now if you can get them to eat frozen thawed, that'd be great, but I'd probably try live. They haven't eaten yet, so good luck.
And that's someone who's just there for money at that point.
Yes.
To me, if you're willing to sell a snake that has never eaten for you to a person who doesn't know any better, you have proven you are just there for money. It's different if I have a litter of snakes that I told someone doesn't eat, and they're like, yeah, I know, I still want to buy them. Like if I'm selling a wholesale lot of Sambos, I'm like, I haven't fed them yet, and they want to buy that and then take that upon themselves. That's different. That's an understanding. That's not the general public. But to sit there and sell someone a corn snake that has never eaten, that's ridiculous. Like that
At least he was telling them. That's the only defense I can say, because you have lots of people that'll sell them and just not tell them. At least he was being honest about it.
But then to say that sulcatas, who are one of the number one things that need UV light, don't need UV light, is insane to me as well.
Yes.
Darren Watson said he follows following Bruce after we had Bruce on last week on IG. And I did. He posted a video this week. So we talked about the giant bull snake he found. He posted a video of moving that bull snake into its new cage, which is a fucking insanely large cage.
Yes.
It's like an 8-foot long wooden cage for this bull snake. Don't get me wrong, it's a massive bull snake.
I want to know what his wife's reaction.
She's 7'9".
7'9". That's what's right.
Like, what did his wife say when he moved that?
I think he's just hoping the wife hasn't walked in the garage. Is my only idea. But you can watch the video on his Instagram, and he takes out that bull snake, and I definitely believe she's all of 7'9".
Oh yeah,
she's
gotta be.
She is massive. But anyways, yeah. So there was that. So anyways, I do want to get to one thing. I want to get to our question this week that Brittany came up with. It was a really good. Got a ton of responses. I know that Robert and Katie know because their phone gets blown up every time I have to do this.
Gosh. And you always post it in the middle of the day. So I'll be like teaching or like actually doing my job. And my phone is like, bzz, 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 bzz. I'm freaking out over here. This is why I shouldn't get an Apple Watch, because on the day that you post it, it's going to be my wrist blowing up.
So the question was, what unconventional reptile husbandry tool could you not live without? And we'll get to some of ours.
Awesome.
Ours in a little bit. Let's go through the list. So our friend Danielle said holy balls, which are those like geometric like dog toy balls with the big holes in them. She gives them to her snakes, unless her snakes climb in them. She has one with like a picture here with a retic crawling through them. So they crawl through and in and out of these balls. And they're that rubber, so they're easy to kind of spread if you need to spread them a little bit. So that's
a really good idea.
Yeah,
she posts pictures all the time too.
Victor didn't get the instructions apparently. Victor said a snake hook and feeding tongs, which Victor, I agree, but those are conventional snake tools that every reptile room should have. You should have feeding tongs, you should have a snake hook. And if anyone ever tells you don't need feeding tongs to feed something and just feed it by hand, tell them they're a fucking moron and don't buy anything from them. Never feed a snake by hand. I hate that. At least never feed like decay snake a worm by hand is different than a retic a rabbit by hand.
Yeah.
So I didn't have feeding tongs with me one time at school, and I waited till all the kids were gone because I didn't want anybody in the room, just on the off chance my corn snake got a hold of me. So I took my pointer for my board, and you would have been very proud of me because I touched the mouse, and I wrapped the tail around it literally enough times to where I could pick up the mouse with the pointer tool, and then I just held it over the cage for her to get.
Please tell me you have feeder tongs. Well, it's snake's right now.
Tongs now, yes, but this was prior to feeder tongs, and then I sanitized everything and washed my hands like 4 times.
Our friend Megan, who we had on a couple weeks ago, said tension rods and holy balls, just like Dana said, for her arboreal snakes to climb on. Our buddy Drew Schultz over at the Learning Zoo said parrot nest boxes for his arboreal snakes.
Those are cool.
Because he keeps a lot of his stuff, most of his stuff outside. Yep. He keeps his carpet pythons outside enclosures. And he says they're the perfect size for my adult carpets to curl up in and do a great job of mimicking a hollow tree. I can also access them from the door on the side if needed. I'm hoping to throw them out as nest boxes next season. I think that's what it says. Even though he missed. Anyways. But yeah, that's a great one. That's taking something that is not a reptile thing and turning it into a reptile thing. I'm just too scared to. One, I don't own this house, so there's no me putting snakes outside here. But God, He's brave.
Services. It could be because the ground is just miserable.
And our ground is we're back.
I sent her a text.
Okay. Yeah, no, our DirecTV went out because the pole that is in the ground with our satellite dish on it. If you live anywhere around the area where you're not getting water, you'll realize that you have these giant like Grand Canyons opening up in your yard, and our separating, and the pole that I was on the plant and no longer was aimed at the satellite dish in the sky. And so they had come out and replant our dish into the ground because the ground, we just need rain. We need like a week and a half long storm, just rain.
We do. Bad.
But going back to this, so again, Corey Martin says sous vide for defrosting her rats fast. First off, I don't have the kind of money to buy a sous vide just for rats. That seems ridiculous. That it would then just be for rats. It's not going to be a sous vide for anything else.
Sure. I actually have an extra sous vide. That's a pretty good idea.
I'm afraid that I'd get squishy rats.
Why? You just set the temperature you want it to be at, and you put them in a bag.
Oh, that's true.
You put them in. I mean,
I've only ever put things in water when it's in a pot on a stove.
It gets it to the exact temperature. Because I had a sous vide that I bought a cheap one on Amazon a few years ago, and then Rachel got me a really nice one for Christmas last year, maybe the year before. And so I haven't used the old one in a long time. I should try that. It's a pretty good
sous vide for rats. We lost some of our viewers. I guess when our thing crashed, they left us. Oh well, they'll hear all this live later. Ashley Howdy said, take out Chinese soup bowls for defrosting feeders. That's one.
Yeah,
that's one.
Do you like Chinese takeout
with rats?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's possible.
But you could save the bowls and reuse them.
Travis Wyman. All right, for one, I'm gonna need Travis Wyman to give me explanations to his suggestions.
What did he put?
UV flashlight. I don't know if you just want to see if something jizzed on a wall somewhere, like a
yeah,
CSI.
he needs to look for sperm plugs on snakes.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's doing. Alligator clips. No fucking clue what he's using those for.
Smoking little roach.
And laser pointers, and there's no fucking way snakes are following a laser pointer.
I don't know about the laser pointer.
I think Travis just put three random ass things.
No. The alligator clips, he's holding shit. I bet he's talking about binder clips.
I think he's making shit up. I think he picked three random things.
No.
This is just like when he posts articles, he doesn't explain what the article is. It's just like, I'm supposed to understand this graduate level article you just posted. I mean, I'm smart, but fuck. The Leviathan Hatchery said makeup brushes, great for caring for incubating eggs and tortoiseshell care.
You know what else makeup brushes are good for?
Cleaning Lego.
Yep. Dusting Lego.
Dustin Crabtree said drywall knives and dough scrapers for tub cleaning. Took my soldering iron to the plastic drywall knives and melted them to the corner to contour to the tubs. That's good. I do like the red line scrape tool set. That whole set they have works great for tubs. It's also a good one. Darren Watson, who I think was in the chat earlier, said storage bins. I've used them to make enclosures. I've used them as hides. I've also kept substrate in them, and I use them to keep frozen rats in the freezer. Yeah, I haven't done the rats in the freezer, but I've done all three of the other ones. I've had them as enclosures before. I have some in there as hides right now. I like the black and yellow ones, but they make a small black and yellow one with the latching tops that you can cut a hole in the side, and it makes a great hide for a big cage for a big boa or something. Or
I've always wondered if Sterilite knows how much money they get from the reptile community.
God,
so
they
much
really
money.
should.
So much money.
And if you call them as a rack builder and say, I'd like to order directly from you, they say the minimum is about $1 million order.
fuck.
Yeah, and they just hang up on you basically because
You're not Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Walmarts, around me get to know me. They're like, oh, there's a guy who doesn't take lids.
Yeah. Like, why do we have all these lids?
Yeah.
Chris Hubley said lint rollers for scales on carpeting in between cleanups. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't had carpet in my snake room in over a decade, and I fucking love that fact.
If we move to this new house, we will.
You better strip that stuff out and put in some vinyl flooring or something.
Yeah.
I love not having. If anybody has carpeting in the reptile room and you're allowed to, just strip that up and put down some like vinyl flooring or something. Get rid of carpeting. It holds smells.
Yeah.
Once you move away from it, you'll love it.
Yeah.
I was always a pro carpet person until we started getting houses without carpet. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Elizabeth Marie Sharif. I'm gonna go with Sharif. I could be wrong though. She has the clamps. What is that? What kind of clamp is that? You know what I'm talking about? It has a little metal handle so you can loosen it up. It's this clamp right here.
Oh,
C-clamp?
No, shelf clamp.
Shelf clamp
or a cabinet clamp. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the ones that are extendable and you can crank them, you can pump them down so they get closer. Anyways, they said they use it as a spreader for vivarium so they can get the glass out easier. I'm not sure I understand.
Me either.
I've never had a problem getting glass out. You may need a different vivarium. If you need one, I know who can make you one. Talk to Robert. He can make you one.
That is kind of weird. I don't understand that.
I'd have to see it in person.
Yeah, it's probably super simple, but
Catherine R. Frank said a paper towel dispenser and the tri-folded paper towels from Sam's Club or Costco. Even though I don't hang the dispenser, those tri-fold towels are more absorbent than the kitchen kind. They're the best for cleaning. So the the ones that go in a dispenser.
Yeah, that come out and they're folded.
Oh, gotcha, like that. Yeah,
those are very absorbent.
Yeah, I think the most genius thing that ever happened was the person that made the 3-panel paper towels, the ones that are like skinny. You can do 1, 2, or 3 and make them full size because one fits perfect in a shoebox tub. Obviously the 2 weren't planned, but they work.
But it works, yeah.
And I have so I keep regular paper towels, but I have a cart. Some other people talk about carts. I have a cart in my room, and then I have a paper towel holder attached to the cart. So I always have a roll on the cart there next to me. But those are great paper towels too. Easton Horton said an electric kettle that he uses for his blue tongue skinks rapashi food.
Absolutely. Good call, Ethan.
Damian McKay said a cordless shop vac. Cordless shop vacs are always good.
Yes.
I'm lazy. I have no carpet, so I just use a dustpan, small room dustpan. But if you do a dustpan, do the one on like the 3-foot handle, the one that you don't, it's a 3-foot like broom and a 3-foot handle. And you just kind of sweep. That makes you from having to bend over. Those are great. Lauren said a putty knife again for cleaning. All right, here's a list of things, and I need to figure out some of these. So, all right, it says what they are, but they're kind of weird. Bree Roman said icing sugar shakers for supplements.
Oh, that's smart for like calcium and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you don't get it,
not like trying to tap it out of the thing and a big chunk falls out.
Yep. All the time.
Double-sided gel stickers for securing the 1.5-ounce deli cups to hatchling bins.
I don't have hatchlings, so that's not an issue.
But that is a good idea for something that keeps them from moving around.
Well, and those little gel pads, I've used those in my classroom before, and they're really awesome.
And if it gets stuck to the snake, it's not going to hurt them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a gel because of what the gel pad is.
Automatic bird feeder with a cotton ball for cricket water.
I don't know that I've ever seen an automatic bird feeder before.
I would say my fix around this, because I do it with roaches, is test tubes with a cotton ball for water. Fill the test tube with the cotton ball in there, and then they can drink the water out of the cotton ball.
Makes sense.
And it doesn't dry out.
I say that lasts for a while.
It lasts for a long time. Long spout watering can for water dishes. I get that. I need to buy a new watering jug for my snake room.
We use a pump sprayer.
I want to get a pump sprayer. I really want to get I saw one that's made for like it's for cleaning your car. It's for spraying. It's got a little pump, like a sump pump or whatever, and a sprayer. I thought about getting one of those for my snake room and getting a 5-gallon jug of water and using that for spraying things down, filling water dishes.
Makes sense.
Because I don't have a sink in there. If you can put a sink in your reptile room, obviously that is the way to go, and put a hose attached to it and all that, but I don't have that. Bree also said a bar cart and wash bins for easy dish collection. A soldering iron. I'm past the point of needing a soldering iron, but I do remember the days of a soldering iron coming in very handy if you do your own heating stuff. A label maker. I agree. A label maker is always good. That's a good one. And Husbandry Pro, I've tried the apps. I can't do apps for my snake room. I've tried it. I thought it was a great idea.
For the snake room.
I just can't do it. I can't keep scanning one and then go.
This is how I feel about electronic calendars.
Yeah, electronic calendars
the same way.
are useful. So that you don't go, remember we have this next Thursday? I'm like, no, because I don't look at the one calendar hanging on the wall in the kitchen when I'm at school. Yep.
But it's color coded.
But I'm not near it.
Rachel constantly has to be, what weekend is this show? It's like, if only we had this thing on our phones where we could share dates.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like my planner. And I'm
do
like, your
like
planner
my
that you don't even
planner.
fucking know where it is.
Oh no, I use mine.
Then-
She does too.
Then put
She
your
does
planner
know where it
into
is.
the computer so I can see it.
But I don't understand.
What do you mean? You go to the day and you make it. It's the same fucking thing as the
Doesn't
paper.
look as good as mine.
You can color code it.
I literally have the whole month. Boom, right there. Right for, oh, look, there's September.
Yeah.
Shut up, both of you.
Anyways, and Chris
Look, there's
Lattimore said,
September. Everything. October. You want to see next September? I have that too.
Shut up, Robert.
Oh, no, I only went to August next year.
and the last one on here was Charles Lattimore said electric kettle, also, and a utility cart on wheels. So let's go with Brittany. What are some unconventional things that you could not live without in your reptile room?
Well, there were quite a few good ones on the list. Some that I actually use, and some that were new ideas for me that I might try. Including your test tube with the cotton ball thing. I have never done that. So
it works great. You throw a couple of test tubes in there with cotton balls in there, and that water lasts like a couple weeks usually.
That's great, because I use a kettle as well for Rapashi, and mostly it's bug burger, so that there's moisture in the food, but I could feed it to them dry if I had a test tube. So there you go. But I think one of the things that I use the most is probably my step drill bit, like a graduated. I don't know what it's actually called. This was drill bits that look like cones.
It's called a step
Okay,
bit.
step bit. Yeah. I use that thing for, I mean, obviously for, plastic and things like that, but I use it for so many things. It makes clean holes in everything. And I absolutely love that thing. And also a hot glue gun, very similar to that. I've used it to fill cracks or cover up bad glass when I get shipments of tanks, or for cricket bins to glue on screen for the tops. I mean, I use a hot glue gun for so many things. So that's another big one for me too.
For me, the cart has been a big one. Now, the cart was way better in my old snake room, which was much larger and it kind of had room for it. It still works now, but it kind of stays more stationary. But the room's so small, it's a great place for me to, like, when I come in, put all my rats on it so I can feed from it. It's where I keep it's got a little spot for my spray bottles and for my sanitizing bottles, all that stuff. So I like having a cart. This is gonna be a weird one. A TV. Having my TV in there keeps me in there longer. So I can put on like YouTube or something and sit there and feed and do water dishes and all. That's been one. I like a lot of the stuff Command Hooks does. Command Hooks has the things that hold like brooms and stuff. Have those little rubber grippers on them, and so you push it in and it holds them in place. I've got several of those in my snake room that hold my hooks, my feeding tongs, my brooms, all that stuff. So it's all on the wall. So Command Hooks makes some really awesome stuff for that. I mean, there's a lot of reptile related stuff. Early on in the hobby, most of my stuff in the snake room was not reptile related stuff because there wasn't as much reptile related stuff out there. But there's been a lot of stuff, like I said, having the scraper tools from Redline. I used to have paint scrapers and all that stuff, but the Redline stuff does pretty well. I like it for cleaning tubs because everyone knows that urates in a tub is like concrete.
You know what's excellent on urates, James? You probably use chlorhexidine, right, to clean?
Yes.
Try using medical grade peroxide. It just disintegrates it, man. It's insane.
That kind of scares me.
I switched to, so I buy it in 12% and I dilute it down to about 6%, and it works phenomenally well.
Does it?
Yeah. So I would obviously do some research and make sure you're comfortable with it. But I've switched over to using peroxide a few months ago, and I absolutely love it, especially for snakes.
One other non-traditional one other non-traditional thing I have in between. So I do all my racks. I have one 10 tub rack, and I've said it up here before. If anyone's thinking about getting a rack, don't ever fucking buy a 10 tub rack. Buy 2 5 tub racks. And if you're like, but I want a 10 tub rack, no, you fucking don't. You don't know any better. It's a goddamn nightmare. They're massive. They're horrible to move. And even you're like, well, I live on a 1-floor building. I did too, until I didn't. And then I had to carry that bitch upstairs.
Yep.
Don't do it. Buy half racks. So most of my racks are multi-hatch racks. They fit the Vision line of tubs, the 15, 18, 35S. And so I'll take 2. And what I did was I took 2 cutting boards and a little screw eye. I glued the cutting boards together. I screwed the eye into one of them, and it fit right between my 2 racks. And so basically it's a pull out drawer. I can pull it out from between it and set a water jug on there, put rodents on there, water bowls, put a tub on there while I'm cleaning. So it's just an extra place right there at my rack that I can pull out, put a tub on there, wipe it clean, set it up, put it back in, and then I can shove it right back in between the 2 racks. But I found that to be one of the most helpful things I ever did, was being able to have an extra shelf in there. It's like an extra set of hands.
That's a great idea.
I love it. It's coming super handy. I also hooks. So again, command hooks. I have 2 command hooks on the side of one of my racks. That my small hook, my small cage hook, I kind of just set on there. So I always know where my small cage hook is. Anything that can organize your room so that your stuff goes in the same place. I have, those magnetic bars they use for knives that you attach to your wall to pull your knives on.
Yeah.
I have one of those attached to the side of my cart. That's where my feeding tweezers, my feeding tongs go to.
I use that at the shop to hold drill bits.
Yeah. I slap my feeding tongs on there when I'm done, so they're always right there. I pull them right off the cart, and I can feed from the cart.
I another one I missed. I can't believe I missed this one. A box cutter. I use a box cutter all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And the razor blades themselves to clean glass and do all kinds of things with.
That's true. That's a big one too. There's always stuff. That's why I like watching some of the YouTube stuff where they go into someone's reptile room. Because sometimes you see things in someone's reptile room that you're like, oh man, I never thought about using that.
Yep.
Whatever that may be. There's always something in there that you can steal. I keep a binder for my feeding sheets when I have babies. I only keep up with that stuff for the first 5, 6, 7 feedings, just to make sure that everything's eaten 4, 5, 6 times in a row before I sell them. So I have these sheets that I made up my own system of how I like my feeding sheets to be, and I put them in a binder. And I bought one of those clear, you normally see them on a door that hold file folders on the door. You can just put them in there like at doctor's offices. I put that on the wall to hold my binder, so it's in the same place every time. I can find my binder. It's not taking up space on my cart. It's not in the way. It's on the wall. I can take it out of there, write all my information, throw it back on there. Which I guess if you're using the Husbandry Pro app, you can do that. But again, I suck at using apps when it comes to my snake room because I just don't have time for it. But yeah, anyways, there's lots of fun stuff. There's always lots of fun stuff that you can do with the snake room. Just go visit other people's reptile rooms if they'll let you and see what they do. I want to go through some of the things that got posted over on our Facebook discussion page this week. There were some good ones. Katie posted one where she stole my hat for school, apparently.
I did. It was hat day for school. And it was Friday, so I was planning on wearing my zoology club shirt. Anyways, I'm like, well, I can't wear a zoology club shirt and not wear a U.S. art hat. So it was pretty cool. And then I had to put your snake hook on it because I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, I'll pull it up soon.
That was me exhausted after the first week of school in the driveway.
So Chris Eaton can see it if he looks at it.
Yeah.
Again,
that's why I don't have my seatbelts on. I'm in my driveway, so nobody freak out on me.
If you listen to Chris Eaton, Snakes and the Fat Man, send thoughts his way. They're better than the thoughts I've sent to him because I've just made fun of him. But I love the guy. I'm gonna still make fun of him though.
I think he might be concerned if you didn't, though.
Yeah.
He's just
all these violent frogs. I never knew frogs were so violent.
Nathan Holcomb posted this of these frogs fucking attacking this guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
what do you like?
Holy cow.
If you walked out and all of a sudden bullfrogs just began attacking you, I'd think the end of days was fucking coming.
What?
And I'm not even a religious person,
I
but
might
that
be
shit
going,
happened to
maybe
me.
that Bible thing is real.
Yeah, I may have been wrong all
Well,
along.
and then you posted a video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this one's just like it's
he
not.
is violent.
Fuck,
Like
they
he
grab his,
woke up and chose violence.
these frogs grab this dude's clothes and are just like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy
And he's just standing there laughing. Like, what are y'all
because
trying
it's
to do?
frogs and it's not a pool full of crocodiles. Like,
Oh my
It's like one of them
gosh.
jumps up and gets him by the nut.
Yes.
He's not gonna be laughing anymore.
So rough.
and then I posted this one of this tree frog. This woman's trying to feed this tree frog this little tiny moth. That's a little tiny moth. She was like, "Fuck it," and starts eating the woman's finger.
Yeah.
And
Like all
have-
these little frogs woke up and
that
chose
finger.
violence.
If you look at the video, that finger is in that frog's stomach at that very
Oh,
point.
100%.
Yeah, because it like moves up,
Yeah.
like real fast.
He went up to the second knuckle easily.
Well, here's a dumpy frog attacking somebody.
Oh.
Same thing.
Never
It's like,
knew frogs were so damn violent.
Here's the video Robert posted last week of the giant bull snake that we talked about with Bruce caught. That was crazy. Someone with Uwami. We'll have to have him on again. Travis posted. We already talked about that last week. He's lacking. We already talked about that gecko last week, Travis. Haha. This one was funny. I saw our buddy Luke in Australia. With
That-
he pisses off people with his
That's what I think it is,
peeling
isn't
skin
it?
off of bearded dragons. These are two bearded dragons getting at it, and of course, this person has to comment. She's literally getting raped so you can make profit.
Oh my god.
So apparently, Luke is now running a sex trafficking ring based off of that comment.
Of bearded dragons.
Bearded dragons, sex. Yeah, it's sex trafficking. It's bearded dragons. You can just leave it at sex trafficking. I mean, she looks like she's okay with it. I mean, neither one of them seem to be upset that this is going on.
Well, the
So-
thing is that kind of thing, the animals never get raped in the wild. So,
Never.
it's only in captivity that
Only
they
in
get
Only
raped.
captivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just assholes
Yeah.
in captivity going around raping each other.
Why
Right.
people put their human emotions on animals.
I know. It always amazes me. I'm like, you have no idea about animal like behavior whatsoever, but you're going to make sure you comment on their behavior.
Yeah, go watch some blue tongue skinks mate in the wild.
Fuck.
Watch
Yeah,
them
exactly.
mate in captivity.
They rip legs
Scary
off.
as Shit.
Yeah. No, nature is very kumbaya, guys. Come on.
Fuck yeah.
Watch leeches breed. Like that's what
Yeah,
scares me.
everything
About-
in nature
Right?
dies.
They will
Dies
literally
silently in
kill
their
each other
sleep.
if they decide they don't
Right.
want to. Yeah.
Yeah, everything in nature dies in its sleep from old age,
Well,
right?
that's what I love. Like,
And
no one fucking watches Lion King as a kid and actually realizes, oh wait, Mufasa died. Scar killed all the kids and raped every mom afterwards.
yeah,
Like that's nature.
Right.
He killed all of them, and he didn't really rape them. He killed all the kids, and then all the moms cycled.
Yeah.
And like, oh, now it's time to have babies again. That's what really happened, and they left out of Lion King. So
Yeah.
shut the fuck up, people.
and lions don't become friends with warthogs.
Yes, no, they eat that motherfucker. This got posted twice. Jack and Travis posted this one. It's the white mountain lion cub that was born.
So they don't know if it's albino or if it's leucistic yet. They haven't been able to get
See its
close enough
eyes.
to the baby to find out.
Just walk in. The mom will
Because
be
the
fine with
mom's
that.
taking care of the baby.
She'll be fine. Just walk
So-
on in. You know what? I mean, if you tell the mom, because it's just like
If you
people.
just go pss, 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 here, kitty, kitty, it'll be fine.
If she comes at you, spray her
No,
with a
that
water
works
bottle.
out.
Just spray her with a water bottle. She'll back up.
Yeah. Speaking of that, that's always the thing in snake relocation group or the snake ID groups is people who've never actually handled a snake are like, just spray with a water hose and it'll move on. Yeah, we're in a fucking drought.
It's gonna love that.
Dude, the other day I was washing the coils on my air conditioner, and by the time I was done, I probably had 100 toads around me. Like I had to be careful where because they just came out of everywhere because they're like, oh my god, water.
We have a constant drip on our back porch from the
Mhm.
air conditioner upstairs, and every night there are toads out there because
Yeah.
it's a water source. They're gonna be
Like,
there
you're
every
gonna end
night.
up with a snake out there too.
Sweet.
There's some places like out in West Texas, where they deal with this every year, and they put drippers in. They just drip water, and it's so that the big animals don't come to that and drink, but all the smaller stuff can come there and get water and survive.
I saw this floating around, and then Travis posted it. This giraffe that was born that's solid brown.
Yep, it's patternless.
Yeah, it's not even that it is patternless, but it's the entire pattern has
Yes.
connected into one coat.
Yeah.
So it's not
That
the
makes
light
more
color.
sense, yeah.
And it's almost like it's melanistic, but obviously with the black tail there, they produce melanin, so it's not. It's weird. It's a brown giraffe.
Yeah.
Our kid just texted me And she goes, so during lunch today, it started raining, and Miss Brown, her principal, announced it over the speaker, and everyone got so excited in the cafeteria and went crazy.
Because it was raining?
Because there was rain.
Oh, yeah, but the problem was it rained for like
It didn't
5
rain
minutes.
for enough.
And then it rained 5 minutes later on, and then it rained 5 minutes later on, and then it was just hot.
Yeah, like I went into the post office and got soaked running in with the package, put it in the bin, and came back out. And it was like,
Our
I
building-
waited 30
Well,
seconds.
at least you
and all
guys
of them
got
wet.
some. We didn't even
Yeah.
get any over here.
Our building had a fire drill today during second period. Do you want to know what happened during second period?
It rained.
It fucking rained. Oh, we could have had it almost at any other point in the morning.
So we had
Yeah,
ours
it did
this
rain.
morning, but it did not rain.
Kids were like, it's raining. I'm like, shut up. It's water. Y'all smell bad. You need it anyways. But anyways, we covered a lot. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Brittany has a lot of really cool lizards. If you are a lizard person, you need to talk to Brittany. She has a lot of really cool off the wall. What are some of the things that we didn't? Because I know you have some other lizards. There's something with a long tail. Don't you have something?
She doesn't want to share her whole collection with the world.
She does. Don't you have something with a long tail?
The Colodis, maybe?
That's
The
probably it.
Colodis have ridiculously long tails. They
Yeah,
have bright red
see-
heads.
You use stupid words. I don't know what these mean. How do you spell
Oh.
Colodis? C-O.
C-A-L-O.
C-A-L-O-T-E-S, I believe.
If anybody else can hear our dog, she is very upset that Robert is here, and because she hasn't seen him in a couple weeks because she's been up when he's been here, and she's literally laying at the top of our stairs and has been whining for the last 30 minutes or more
Nonstop.
because she can't get to Robert.
That's true. The
Staring at me.
Yeah.
Colodis, that is one. It looks like if an anole and an iguana had a baby and it had a
Yes.
red head.
Yes. Yep.
That's a cool looking lizard. What
They
else do
are.
you-
They are really, and they're super personable too. And very interactive. Like you were talking about the Emerald Tree Skinks, they are always watching what's going on in the room.
And then
they're
you're not
really
just lizards. We talked about your garter snakes. I know that you are planning on getting another blackish snake at some point soon.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. Talked to the state recently, so it looks. I think it's soon.
Also, you got rid of all your hognose, didn't you?
No, I haven't.
No, you
But
They
yeah,
smell
that's
bad. You should.
yeah, it's a lot of work. And now that I'm doing the garter snakes, I think I want to focus more on those guys. So I will be selling off some hognose, especially after I sell off all of these babies that I'm looking at right now. Yeah, I had quite a few this year. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna focus on for as far as colubrids go, focus on garter snakes going forward.
I would. 5 million people are doing hog noses. Several of
Yeah.
them I've seen get out of hog noses in the last week.
Yeah.
That's one thing I
Yeah,
want to talk about.
right.
That's one thing I want to talk about real quick.
Seen a bunch.
This
of,
week has been
like
so many
Armageddon.
people bailing on the hobby, and I get it. Sometimes people have to bail because financial reasons. Something happens, but a lot of these, I think, honestly, just they're not reptile people. They're people that got reptiles, and there's this again. We do live in a hobby that's a pyramid scheme. And we sell that pyramid scheme pretty hard. I mean, you go to a show and you see someone at a table with all these animals with price tags on them, and you're like, well, if they got this, I can do this and I can make this money, but you don't realize they're not really making that much money. And so people are like, I want to breed. And I was guilty of that, but I've been in the hobby now over 20 years. I think I'm past I just want to breed. I enjoy the hobby. But you watch these people just mass exodus because
Right.
they got into it, COVID money. Right, they got into that COVID time, and they're like, "I can do this," and then they realize this is a lot of work, and they're not really reptile people. Like that's fine. It's a lot of work, but I'll go clean shit for an hour so I can keep my animals.
I from my perspective, building what I build and selling what I sell, it's about every 6 months I see this new group of faces, and they're all telling me the same thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, man, I haven't seen that guy at a show in a while. And I look him up and I found where he sold all of his animals, or she sold all of her animals. And then it's another group and it's another group. But I think you have that in everything. Every hobby, you have that. You have your core people. I mean, you go to a bird show, you're going to have the people that have been doing birds for years, and you're going to have the brand new ones, and you're going to have the ones that are, 3 or 4 years in. Same thing with fish, same thing with everything.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with golf and with
Mhm.
like my dad is the king of getting into a hobby and really fucking getting into a hobby and then changing to another hobby. the list of growing up. At one point, he did made his own home brew beer.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing. Golf was a thing for a while. He did cycling for a while. He rode bikes.
Really?
Barbecuing for a long time.
Like electric bikes?
No, like bikes. He used to be skinny.
We'll show you the pictures.
Okay.
He quit riding a bike and now he's shaped the way he is now. So he used to ride road bikes, like he did 100-mile rides.
Right.
He got into kayak fishing, which I would still be into if I had room for my kayaks over here. And now he's into motorcycles, which I think this won't actually last because he's just too fucking old at this point to get into something new. And this one,
I mean, dude, he wrecked the shit out of one and he went and bought it.
And he got back on new one.
Definitely in it.
But I mean, there's a long list, and I know I'm missing some in there. There have been other hobbies in there. So there are tons of people who dive deep into a hobby real quick and then fade out of the hobby. But for like myself and Brittany, that's just not, and Robert, that's not a possibility for us. Like this is so much
it's
a part
of who I
are.
am.
Yeah.
Like even as burned out as I get going to shows and traveling all the time, there was, there basically the whole month of July that I lost because of the vertigo and stuff, which actually hit me again today, by the way. First time in like 10 days. And Rachel was going to shows. I kind of missed it.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed the last 2 weekends. We had Corpus the weekend before. I've enjoyed being at the shows the last couple of weekends. So it is good to take a break, every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hit me today while I was driving, by the way.
Well, that's not good.
Say that out loud because then I want to take my driver's license. Luckily, I was like a block from my house and I just kind of closed one eye and focused and made it.
In the future, if you can, I'll come get you.
Yeah, I know.
I also just realized I need $2,500. Did you know you can buy a black sailfin dragon for $2,500?
There's a ton of them on there.
I mean, I know nothing about their care other than it's a really big lizard, and it's probably like the same care as a chameleon or as a caiman lizard, which I can't do either.
Right.
But this person
huge
holding it,
enclosure.
Yeah, this person holding it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah,
just imagine that on a branch. That's where if I had the money, I would build a giant caiman lizard enclosure, water, huge branches, all the lighting, all the plants. But now that I think about it, next to it, I think I'd probably build a sailfin dragon enclosure because that would look awesome sitting on a branch also.
Yeah.
So anyways, back to there's been a lot of people getting out of the hobby lately, and it's very interesting. And the funny thing when that happens is you find these people that end up buying full collections, and then those people also get out of the hobby in a little while too.
Yeah.
Like some collections have that's another problem. Some collections just bounce around. Now, a lot of these collections aren't higher quality animals, so it's these lower quality collections that just keep bouncing around hand to hand. But yeah, it's just rough to see that kind of idea, that kind of hobby bouncing when it's animals.
Yeah.
Right. It's one thing when it's an inanimate object that you can just sell off, and if it ends up in somebody's garage, it ends up in someone's garage. But some of these animals, just they bounce around, and then sometimes they have a cool thing, one or two cool things in that collection, and they just kind of disappear into the ether and never to be seen again.
Yep.
So, just weird. And I'm sure you see it a lot with like crested geckos because that's a big one. Everybody's like,
oh my goodness, yeah. If I had $1 for every time I've seen somebody like sell out their collection bring like $20 geckos to a show and then sell it out to another vendor and leave on Saturday after, Saturday mid-morning because if another vendor bought their table out. I mean, It happens all the time with crested geckos. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
What were you gonna say?
I don't remember. My brain doesn't work anymore.
Well,
and they were coming to do that, to get out of the hobby, bringing every gecko they had, kind of thing. So yeah, you see that. But then that, like you said, those are not the real reptile people. People that are doing it just because they think they're going to make a ton of money are not the people that are going to stick with it for a long time, because you have to love this, man. It is a lot of work.
It really
as
is.
you well know. I spend as much time working on animals as I spend working on my job that actually pays me.
And you're blessed because of the way your setup is too. I mean, that helps so much because you do it all in one place.
Right, right. I am blessed that I get to work from home. So that's amazing. So I rent a shop in Pearland because I ran out of space in my house for all of my many reptiles. So I rent a space to keep all my reptiles, and I get to work from there. So that is absolutely a very big benefit from being able to work from home. And I feel very lucky to be in that position. But it's still a lot of work, so you have to absolutely love it.
Well, it's just
You're not gonna stick with it.
It's a shame to see people get into it purely money, and in their mind, I think a lot of people get into it not thinking purely money. They think the animals are cool, but it's definitely money driven when they're like, look at the money I can make. And obviously those people have no business sense, so they don't understand it.
Like Todd and Paul. That's Paul, Facebook user.
Oh,
Paul loves these fucking snakes more than anybody.
My God, yes, he does. That dude stresses out over it.
No, but I mean, even like just letting him go to a new home. I love that about him.
Yes.
That Todd's the same way. Todd freaking loves those animals.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I believe Paul might shed a little tear when nobody's around after he sells a couple of those snakes, because some of those things are, because he gets them so well established.
Oh yeah, they're good size before he sells them.
He has spent so much time with them. And if everyone was like that, the hobby would be much better. Like, yeah, dude. He does.
Yeah. That's one thing though with our herps group that we've been with, we know who's really in the hobby and we know who's in it just for money. And we can kind of, it feels bad. People are like, don't judge a book by its cover and get to know people. But we can see some people come into the hobby and go, yeah, this dude won't be here in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell someone who has been keeping reptiles for a long time and has grown into this whole thing, and someone who walked into a reptile show a year ago and went, I can do this. And they went and bought a bunch of stuff, but they don't really have the passion for the animal. They just have the passion for the idea of making money off the animal.
There's definitely been a lot of new faces at shows the last few months.
Yeah.
And their tables are covered in ball pythons and crested geckos.
Yeah, it's people who bought with COVID money that are now 3 years in making babies.
Yeah.
And they're all, you see them sitting there like, and I've talked to a bunch of them. They're like, man, I didn't sell anything this weekend. And I'm like, well, do you want some constructive criticism? Get a display, get a clean tablecloth, get a banner. And you're not, I had to tell even like Paul this, you may not sell animals at your first 2 or 3 shows because people don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And as he's done more shows, he's selling more animals. Todd's the same way. They've done a few shows now, and the last one they did with us, they sold several animals.
Well, you've got to understand what you have.
Mm-hmm.
You need to fully understand what you have. You cannot have a table of lower end animals and be upset. Look, you can have $200 animals and sell 6, 7, 8 of them. That happens. Look,
sure.
There was a show we did next to Todd not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
He sold a ton of animals like that. But there may also be a show where he goes to where he may sell nothing, especially if it's a heavy loaded ball python show.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has, like, you've got to find a niche. There has to be something. Or you have to be okay knowing that sometimes you're going to go to a show and not sell anything. Like, it's not meant to be a business for everybody. It is a hobby. It's meant to be a hobby for the majority of people at a show. So you need to run. If it's a business, you're going to have to run it completely different.
And that's what makes it tough for the people that do it as a business. They understand profits and, how much they need to make that show worth going to.
Right.
And you have to compete against the hobbyists who are happy to break even.
Yeah. Like, I'm a hobbyist. If I go and cover my table cost and maybe my hotel that weekend,
right,
I'm happy.
And for me, it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm also not selling animals as my main thing. But if I don't go to a show and make money, I can only do that show a couple times where I have to say, okay, I can't do the show anymore because I could just stay home and be broke.
So I think a lot more people also need to jump into this as a.
It's funny you said that. This past weekend, somebody was like, so what are you going to do? I said, well, if I'm paying this much for air conditioning right now, I'm going to stay home and enjoy it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, I got to pay my light bill tomorrow. It was $635 last month.
That's about where
ours is not running much different than that. And we've been putting our air on 74 when we leave during the day.
Yeah. It's just gross right now. And it's supposed to be like 105 here on Thursday.
Yeah. So, anyways, with everyone getting out of the hobby, if more of those people that are bailing right now would have gotten in as a hobby and not thought of this is going to be a business, they'd probably still be in it. They would have started out with way less animals. They probably would have started out with a different type of animal, or at least a better quality animal, and they would have been able to sell those few animals. But again, some people jump in with business mindset, but not business funding. Like this is not something you can start out cheap if you want to actually make money. You just can't.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, let's go back and talk about eclectic.
You need to
reptile.
develop the passion first for this business because it's it's not an easy thing to make money at.
Nope.
You know, we talked about David earlier. He's not buying cheap animals to make more like right. He's investing. And there's nothing wrong. Some people look at when they talk about investment animals as they kind of look at it as a dirty word. It's not when you're investing in the animal and you really care about the animal. It may be a dirty word when all you are is someone who had money and thought that you could make more money, and you're just investing, and you're not going to do this long term because you don't want to clean shit.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's one of the big influencers, quote unquote, who doesn't touch their own animals. They have people that do all of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't have any respect for that kind of person at all.
That's why I watch like Kabilka. He can tell you everything genetically about them, and he started
the same way.
Yeah,
Bob knows every animal that's in that place.
You know those guys, but they also they had some money to invest in the beginning. Like that's the problem is, again, you're not them if you're just getting in it and you're like, I need to buy some cheap animals and a rack, and
you're like, I got $500 to get this started.
That is not what they started with.
No.
Babu did not start with $500.
Nope. Bob had a successful career.
Yeah.
And,
so, again, it is okay to get into this.
He always says, disappointed his Vietnamese parents when he told them he was going to quit insurance business, corporate world to breed ball pythons.
Yeah. It is okay to get into this as a hobby. It's okay to stay in this as a hobby. And it's okay to make a little bit of money from your hobby. There are very few hobbies you can make money from.
Sure.
Right. Most hobbies cost you.
Oh man, I've been into hunting forever, and I've never.
It doesn't pay at all.
I mean, I say that I was I did a lot of guiding and stuff back in the day.
You get some meat for your freezer,
but it was never a net gain. There was never a net positive there.
If you can breed a few snakes and buy a few bags of frats from that, that's a win.
That's what I keep telling my people. I just need you guys to make enough money to feed them.
Yeah.
That's our rule.
Mm-hmm.
Our rule is the snakes have to pay for themselves,
Yep.
and anything else is just laying you out.
Yep.
So, all right, Brittany, if people want to get a hold of you and talk to you about all the really cool lizards you have, how can they reach out to you?
I'm on Facebook and at Rhacs, and then also readsracks@gmail.com.
RHAC. Reads
RHACS.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. So, if you want to reach out to Robert, it is lsreptileracks.com. Get you a rack cage, a boa hide, some acrylic stuff, some signs, pretty much anything you can laser cut or cut with a CNC. Robert's got you covered on that one.
If you need stickers, let James know.
God. Yeah, that's going. If you need stickers, I've started a sticker business for now. So
did you settle on a name?
I'm going with
Sort of.
Simply Stickers.
Good. You should.
I'm going with Simply
And you
Stickers.
need to do green and orange as your colors.
I don't know. We may do a different color scheme. I don't know, but it's definitely Simply Stickers.
Yeah, because my Simply Impressive Photography was different color scheme.
And then we had Simply Bio, and then I just love using the word Simply. I'm also one as someone who's been doing. I'll print anybody's stickers and I'll print anybody's logo. But I look at a lot of these logos and I'm like, ooh, it's a very busy logo.
Yes. I had somebody send me one the other day. Can you make me a sign out of this? And I responded, nope. I literally would have to. They wanted it acrylic. I'm like, you realize I'm going to buy like 11 sheets of acrylic to make your one. Yeah, I'll make you one, but it's going to be $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, because some of that shit, you can't just etch it into a laser into clear acrylic. It will be a blur. It won't.
Right.
There's no definition to it.
Right.
Brittany's her logo is very simple, but also very good. It's one color for the most part, and it's a foot and your name. Like it's very.
It's
plain.
it's a crested gecko's foot, and the silhouette of a crested gecko's foot.
It's not 5 pictures of crested geckos on a branch with leaves in the background and the name in some sort of weird font hidden inside the leaves. And
this one was 5 ball pythons intertwined with all their different patterns, and then their name behind it, and then like some leaves and shit. And I was,
you can do that.
I'm like, no, I can't do that. Sorry. But
I can make you a sticker. If that person reach out, I can make you a sticker. But simple. Look.
Simple. Look how impressive you were talking about David's setup.
I was going to say David.
Look how impressive his logo is literally just block letters with different color squares around them.
Yeah, it's like Google.
And it's so Google. Exactly, and it's almost iconic for our group of people now. You see something with the block color letters, and you go eclectic, it doesn't have to be crazy.
something
busy.
to be said about simplicity,
Sure.
and it's just
Right.
not done
That's
anymore.
when I had mine created, and the guy asked me, "What do you want?" I said, "Black and white and simple. I want something that I can cut parts out, I can engrave into things, and it's not crazy." And I even hate the little bitty stars that he put in it still. And I've never made a shirt or made a sticker. And Rachel and Katie have done all that. And I know they probably hate the little stars too.
yeah, I
they're a
cut
bitch.
those on a regular
Yeah, bitch.
basis.
Yeah.
It's not bad on a shirt,
Yeah.
but when you're having to make anything smaller than 6
The
inches
little decals
with those little
are a
stars,
nightmare.
fuck.
So
Yeah,
the
you've
sticker's much
helped us.
easier.
Yes.
You've helped us put decals on
Yeah.
racks before.
Yeah, I like my logo. It's in the name, but it's just simply separate. And when I had them design it, I had the head kind of designed so it looked like a boa's head. That was my one thing. But they're simple colors that stick out, green and orange. You can see them from a distance.
To me, it looks like a semen.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever.
But from a distance,
The whole time I was making that sign, I was like, "This is a little
Never
spermy."
gonna unsee that now. Thanks.
but from a distance, it's very plain. And I've thought about doing a banner at some point with pictures of my animals, but I'm not going to put them into the logo. I've seen people where they put their logo and then they put some pictures around the edge of the banner
Yeah.
of some good looking animals.
And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like.
Yeah, just understand that sometimes difficult logos are hard for customers to remember the name.
Yes.
But I have that same issue when people
And
want me to
difficult
make
names.
shirts for them. Okay, I can't use every single font you want. Some fonts are easy to read from a distance.
Mhm.
Some people can't read cursive. So
Yeah.
you need to consider that.
People don't realize too that a lot of fonts are trademarked.
Yes.
And when you start putting them on shirts and stickers and
Yep.
shit like that, you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So pretty much every font has a lot of them are open use, but
Yeah.
you
The
know, like
websites that I download them from, I make sure that
Yep.
they're for open use because
have-
otherwise I don't need them on my computer.
I have a couple of sign designs that I've bought a license for,
Mhm.
and I can sell 100, and then I have to buy the license again.
Yeah.
Well, and when it comes to look, I get it. We're not marketing people, but I've been in the hobby a while and I've seen a lot of stuff. I think one thing when it comes to logos, if you want a complicated logo that's a picture with all the stuff, make one, but then also design a simple logo.
Yep, that's what Todd and them did.
Yeah. Have a simple logo for the front of a shirt or for small stickers or for your banner. And if you want to put the big funny, the one with all the stuff on it as a picture on the back of a shirt or when you post things on, that's great. But you need a simple logo, simple sticker, or simple thing that someone can tell from a distance.
Todd had their logo's pretty, it's there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it.
And for your banner for your table, make it simple, and he did, and it looks great.
Yeah.
So it's after 9.
All right, let's go. Again, reach out to Robert.
So sorry.
Reach out to Brittany. Don't forget code Gumbo22 at VivTech. Go order some bulbs, get some VivTech bulbs. We still have Patreon. Feel free to give us money if you feel like it. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I just paid $50 for this platform.
Yeah. StreamYard wanted their money, so they got it today. Also, I'm missing.
So it might be a free podcast for you to listen to, but it is not a free podcast coming out of my bank account.
Yeah,
And I'm a teacher, and that's $50 I could have spent on books
So,
in my classroom.
again, if you just want be a $5 Patreon member just to help us out, just
Okay, I'm done.
$2, $3, whatever. And also, Lil's Shop of Horrors, reach out to them for all your feeder needs. I think that's it. Brittany, thanks for coming on. Hang around for a second as we log off. Everyone else, we will be back next week. I think we're recording maybe next Wednesday.
Okay.
Is that cool? I think we had
Yeah,
something
because I
Tuesday.
have Girl Scouts Tuesday.
Yeah, we're recording next Wednesday, but I've got a guest for next Wednesday. It'll be a good one. So thanks everybody for listening, and good night.
Bye.
Night.